What is going on, everybody? We're here for another episode of DaGamer Podcast, episode 2. It's me, and Tony's the Gamer. Once again, I am joined by my co-hosts, Tim and Jory. Tim and Jory, will introduce yourselves to the people one more time.
I'm Jory, also known as Super SSS Rank.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Timothy Smith here, once again.
All right. Appreciate y'all coming back for another episode. Episode 1, I think we're off to a good start. I think we definitely have something good going here, like we talked about off mic. And we can just get right into it. There's really only the one big topic of the week, and we'll just kind of break it down from there. And that would be the PlayStation Showcase. All right, PlayStation Showcase debuted this past week. We got a bunch of trailers, a couple of gameplay reveals, and it seems like the reaction to it has been middling at best. Like, nobody seemed to love it. Most people didn't hate it either. It was kind of somewhere in between. And that's kind of I'll start off. That's kind of my perspective on it. Like, I think it was cool. I think there was some surprises here and there that were like, oh, that looks like a pretty interesting game. But other than if we're gonna keep it honest, I think other than Spiderman, as far as like, wow, there wasn't a lot of wow moments in the showcase. This is cool. Like, oh, it's cool to see a trailer for that. I would even argue that due to the leaks and due to like the uncertainty of who's developing it, even the Metal Gear Solid 3 reveal wasn't like a big thing. It was like, this is a CG teaser for a remake with no developer. We know Kojima's not involved. Like I told y'all off mic, I know you guys are bigger Metal Gear fans than me, so when we get to that part, I'm gonna let y'all boys go in. I will fall back and just listen. But yeah, there was just certain things where I'm like, if this is supposed to be Sony's version of their virtual E3, right? Is this the thing that, until E3 finds a way to revitalize, or until we get the E3 replacement, is this the showcase that we were looking for from Sony to kind of carry us through the summer? Obviously since then we've gotten captions and newsletters and reveals from Naughty Dog saying that they were unable to have something put together in time. We haven't seen anything from Kojima in terms of gameplay when it comes to Death Stranding 2. There wasn't really like enough of these things that we know are having a release date at some point. So that was a little bit off-putting as well. But we'll start off with Tim. Tim, what do you think about the PlayStation Showcase?
I gave it overall a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I feel like, yes, it delivered in areas, but it wasn't, like I said, oh my gosh, amazing. Mm-hmm. My biggest takeaway from it was, obviously, yes, Spider-Man. It was good to see, the black suit gameplay. Even the villain choice, Kraven the Hunter, there's been a lot of good fan base uproar for him as a character. And, just seeing how this story really develops. I know the first Spider-Man really delivered on the aspect of, especially since the last movie didn't give us what we've been wanting for years, but like a Sinister Six type of vibe. So a lot of people did appreciate, now we finally got something of that nature. And part 2, of course, there was Venom. Venom was featured in the first trailer, but now we got to see how is this universe evolving? Outside of Spider-Man, the Metal Gear, like I said, the CGI trailer was good. At first, I was like, what is this? Because all you saw was all this wilderness just eating each other.
Right.
But then you just here comes Naked Snake just hovering in the middle of the jungle. So and I like the fact that they gave it a different name, Metal Gear Delta, which is a faithful remake to Snake Eater. And I was very peculiar, so they chose this one to go with first. So I do feel this holds the potential of them revisiting Metal Gear Sons of Liberty, and of course, the traditional Metal Gear, the Twin Snakes. I did like that particular name better than just Metal Gear Solid 1. So I do feel that opens up the room for that. Yes, a lot of people think, Kojima is not involved, but then, to be honest, as of recently, companies have shown that you don't really need the original person to deliver on a remake. Netflix is a prime example of, we don't even need the original studio who started it. If the money and the development is there, we could do it. Like, even though it's just like a faithful remake, yeah, with some couple of tweaks here and there, but as long as the gameplay and the story elements deliver, you don't need the original head behind it.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. I've seen a lot of the opposite actually online. I think maybe it could just be Hideo Kojima is somebody that gamers hold very precious to their heart. For being an innovator. So I think you're right in the sense that you could do a Dead Space. There's certain things you don't need like the 1-for-1 to return. Sometimes that could be to the game's detriment, right? I think Jory and I have talked about this a few times. I think letting Tetsuya Nomura have this creative control over Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy is a death sentence. That man he takes it a little bit too far, right? So I think you can see places where it's like the corporation aspect does help. I just wonder if, Metal Gear will be the one that, we can put in Konami's hands. So we will get back to that a little bit more to dive in depth, like I said, to let you and Jory just like get to it. But right now I'm going to get Jory, your overall, rating, what you thought about the showcase. Were you surprised by anything, impressed by anything?
I mean, I wasn't really expecting, it was more hopes. I was hoping that, the Sony fans got what they wanted, but I didn't really expect anything from it because I wasn't really expecting a lot from the show. It was hopes, for a lot of games that I wanted to see that I couldn't get any place else. But now I would say, I mean, a 6, not to put it down, but it wasn't. What saved it was Spider-Man. So I guess I could say a 7. Yeah, I'll say a 7 because other than that, it would have been a 6 if it wasn't for a couple of surprises. I was surprised by the Phantom Blade Zero.
Yes.
That I was happy about the Grand Blue Fantasy relink.
You did predict that.
I was looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Metal Gear Solid. I was happy for the CGI reveal, but when I saw the screenshots, I was like, oh,
yeah.
And I kind of don't want. I kind of want to like let people who want remakes to be done. Listen, you don't want a 1-for-1.
Okay.
It's not. We're not in the times where we didn't have access to the game again. So now you can give us the game with revamped graphics. I can still right now go find Resident Evil 4. In fact, I could find Resident Evil 1. You know what I'm saying? It's like the games are present with us. Our 360 games are present with us. So that being said, I played it already. You giving me graphics, I think I want that. But then when I stop playing it and I scratch my head, I don't know why I really stopped playing. No, it's because you played it already. The new graphics was a plus, but it was missing something. The reason why Resident Evil 4 worked to the degree it did is because it added something. The environment looked completely different. I did not. This tree looked more real, looked like an actual environment. You know what I'm saying? So, I thought Spider-Man was cool. Don't like how they handled Parker symbiote suit.
We're gonna get to that because I actually think I agree with you. We might not agree for the same reasons, but I think I agree with you. Because when I was watching it, it's funny. I was like, you know what? Because you said something the first podcast about like the animations and how Spider-Man moves, and I was like, I think he's right.
Yeah, because
it's not.
I don't know if y'all boys. I don't know if y'all boys. To me, I was like, yo, so Spider-Man the symbiote watch Stranger Things too? Nah, kid.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Was the upside down man, kid?
We'll get to it.
Nah,
we'll get to it.
I like the fact that they was tripping on the Parker from the 90s. Shocker!
Yeah.
I like that. You feel me? But yeah, man. Phantom Blade scares me though.
I have a segment dedicated to it. We'll get right back to it. Yeah. But
go ahead. Let's move on.
I'm actually cautiously optimistic. I think so. Everyone's like, it might be looking like. Actually, you know what? We'll move some things around. We'll get right into was it Phantom Blade Zero, right?
Yeah, Phantom Blade Zero.
Phantom Blade Zero. We'll get right into it as our first game topic. My hope is, I know everyone's like, oh, it looks like a Souls-like. Oh, it looks like it's going to have like this Sekiro combat system. I'm like, honestly, that
That's
game is...
good.
I disagree. I think they should go the Metal Gear Rising route. Make it style over substance. Do a over-the-top action adventure. All those things where he's punching one guy, kicking the other at the same time.
Okay.
Running, blocking arrows as he's running. I'm like, bro,
when you told me Metal Gear Rising, I'm thinking about the first iteration of Metal Gear Solid Rising. Okay, Revengeance. All right.
1000% Revengeance. Where Revengeance, like it had the combat mechanics were deep enough. Like it wasn't just like tap square to win. You know, you had to hold the analog stick back to parry a certain way. You couldn't just block your way through everything. But I think what was cool about Metal Gear Rising was just like you were doing all these really cool things. If you wanted to deep dive, the option was there. If you wanted to kind of keep it a little more simple, you could still do really, really cool things. And the visuals were just there. And I think this game has the potential, depending on how it pans out gameplay-wise, story-wise, of course. Hopefully we don't get another Bayonetta-esque story when it comes to these games.
It don't look like it.
It doesn't. But neither did Bayonetta. Every time Bayonetta announces it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they...
No, you can tell. When you go back in
bro.
time, when you go back in time and look at the trailers, you be like, yeah, I should have known.
3 was a little bit, but 2, I'm like, 2 seemed... Actually, 2 had the most coherent story, but even 2, I was just like, this might get good. And it kind of was just all right. But I think this game in particular, that would be my hope, that it kind of goes a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, maybe like a Nier Automata, where it's just like, again, the depth is there. The depth options are there. But you can still just do really, really cool things. And it's like, wow, that was awesome.
Okay.
Jory, I'll let you start out. What do you think?
I'm scared because the same thing with Wukong.
Which, again, my conspiracy brain is it might never come out. But go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So you have Wukong, and what's that other game, Lost Souls Aside, that one man made and Sony decided to fund him, and now the game is in the abyss?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, with this one, he has a proven record. He released an actual game before, a mobile game. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not as afraid, but my thing, the only reason why I'm afraid is because usually these Chinese games never come out.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? They
true.
never come out. So with lots, for me, what gave me more belief, they had voice actors.
Yes.
They had synchronization with the voices. So I'm saying, okay, they have something, right? Now, the only thing that's going to kill it is combat, but combat looks like it's good. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind if it's like Sekiro with certain tweaks.
Okay.
The reason why, because Sekiro has a more personal combat. You know what I'm saying? The combat's more personal. It's more, the stakes feel like a Samurai Champloo versus a Naruto fight scene.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Samurai Champloo's fight scenes are very intimate fights. Mm-hmm. Like when he's running through a whole bunch of guys, it's because those guys aren't really skilled. They just regular thugs. Like, he's not going to do that to someone who's on his level. At least 2 of them that's on his level, he's not doing it. You know what I'm saying? He's going to, Mugen or Jin will do his best to run away or evade those guys. Mm-hmm. But this one seems to be, more, combat's a lot more intimate. I'm tired of Souls-like games.
Same.
Absolutely tired. Like, I don't know what's in these developers' mind. For example, what's it called? Lords of the Fallen. I was like, yo, is this Dark Souls 9? Like, dog. Like, I mean, what are you guys doing? Y'all don't see that homie's getting away from his own traditional playing style. He's adding jumping mechanics, stealth mechanics, and you guys are still trying to do the same thing, thinking that people are going to be like, okay with it? No. Mm-hmm. They're going to ask you, why don't I have a horse?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Why can't I jump?
I mean, why can't I jump? Like, you guys seen these games that were implementing. The best thing you guys could have done, in my opinion, for that game was just to implement a climbing mechanic and a couple of jumping mechanics. You know what I'm saying? And then you guys would have had something completely different. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you're giving me, like, y'all could even take the Assassin's Creed formula and make something incredible. But I don't know. Like, I just don't understand. I don't know if it's investors saying, here, well, listen, we want to pay you to make the exact same game. And thinking, like, I don't know. I don't know if these guys have any creative organs in their mind.
That's a good point. I want to come back to that when we talk about Foam Stars, because I think it's not just a developer problem. but it seems because each one, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, they're all guilty of it in their own way of like, that seems like a really good idea. Let's make our own version. And it's like 5 years later after it's already peaked in like trending, right? It's like we're getting all these like live action shooters. Like, yo, Destiny's like 10 years old, bro. Like this whole thing of just live action shooter after live action shooter, it's over. You need something. You got to do something different at this point. So I think that is something that is worth noting. Of like, is it a mixture of maybe it was a good idea at the time, but because games take so long to come out now, that when the game does drop 5 years later, we as a fan base hasn't moved on? Is it that they're late to the trend, and by the time like there's a mixture of things that I definitely think fit better once we discuss Foam Stars. But Tim, what do you think about Phantom Blade Zero? What was your thoughts? What would you want to see?
I enjoyed
it. Is it coming out?
I believe it'll come out. I enjoyed the gameplay of it, especially when they showed more like the wall environmental mechanics. Like you can run up walls, stab you from up below. Even just like how there's many ways to tackle the boss. Because usually in games we're always on the offense. Just rush them and get them in the face, keep going until the health bar is depleted.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that there is a mix of like combinations that you could try. The environment is there for you to navigate, but then now I'm trying to think, well, what kind of environments can you navigate? Are you able to like just freestyle it all the way through? My only thing about Souls-like games is that the environment. I feel like we've gotten so used to that very dark, gritty world.
Black and gray filter, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Depression on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then they said like they're taking elements of like Ghost of Tsushima. There's some steampunk type elements. Like one thing I loved about Ghost was the color of the world.
Very, very colorful game.
Very color of the world. The weather effects. Because I do see like they have some like folklore elements in it. Because I did see like a dragon type of thing that was like stalking you like no matter where you moved and stuff like that. So it's just like I would love to see more color of the world.
Okay.
Like, like is everything like a cave cavern type of thing, or everything like in a village or something like that, or a dark Beauty and the Beast road that you go to the forest for the wolves and all that other stuff. So I want to see like better environments. But then back to Joey's point, like look at Wukong. Wukong is very pretty, but is it ever coming out?
I would say no. That's my I got to do like one out there take every podcast. And I'm like, that's gonna be the one. I don't think Wukong is ever coming out. I don't. When
I saw in the trailer, there was 97 Wukongs on screen, and the cloud area. I was like, yeah, come on, man. They had probably like 16 6 Grigs of Rams lined up in like the Dexter's Laboratory powering up that PC.
Yeah, bro.
Like, nah, man. And then the thing is,
to a bug with a flying mechanic turning into this. I'm like, bro, there's no way.
Yo, they can't even do that right on Anthem. I'm very skeptical, bro. Like back to Tim's point, like Sekiro is a very colorful game. There's parts of the game that people, I don't think they realize they could have gone to because they're like, yo, I've never fought that dragon before. I said, yo, you just got to keep playing the game. You know what I'm saying? And there's an area that was so beautiful. Like there's this koi fish that you had to like give scales to, and you had to kind of like trick it so you can follow it to get to another location and area. It's like Sekiro is very colorful. But it still keeps that very Souls depressing theme. But then for me, I'm not like that.
Yeah,
I can only take so much of Dark Souls. I cannot play Dark Souls for more than 3 hours. Yeah. I can't play it for more than 1 hour. It's just a good 1 hour, 2 hours, and I call it a day. If I'm not playing with buddies, I can't play.
Right. It's a lot. It's an intense subgenre.
Too so bad. I like that world is the prime example of depressing.
Oh no, I can't play Bloodborne. No, I can't. I when people tell me Jory Bloodborne, oh my god, I'm like, nah. Like I think Dark Souls 3 is a better game. I think Elden Ring's a better game. Jory's crazy. I'm like, nah, Bloodborne. Number one, that Victorian era, the Jack the Ripper era. It's not my favorite era, dog.
It's getting a little crazy.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Sherlock Holmes. Yo, come on, man. Nah, it's not for me. Van Helsing, and you don't even have Van Helsing in the game. You know, you would have got away with it if it was Hugh Jackman. If it was like that world, I would have been.
That would have been dope. That's
yeah.
actually a pretty good IP that I don't think gets enough shine. Like Van Helsing would actually be a pretty good action adventure genre game.
Oh, it'd be amazing, man. It'd be amazing. Like you could literally like create your own Castlevania / Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
you know,
easily.
All
right. Well, I guess to move us on and talking about colors, because I think that's a good way to segue into this game. I don't know if you guys felt the same way about it. I thought it was a pleasant surprise because I hadn't paid much attention to it. But they did it like an extended trailer in comparison to the announcement trailer of the Plucky Squire, right? So you have that character that kind of looks like a little mini Link, and he's doing this little like casual RPG thing where he kind of hops out the storybook and he's in the real world and hops back in. And it was just like this really, cool. Yeah. I was like, I think, you know, because we had spoken in the group chat about, you know, the idea of Sony obviously wanted to branch more into all age groups, right, and not just being, you know, teen rated or higher in their games. And even though it's still going to be a third party game ultimately, how do you guys feel about what's being marketed more so to like the young, like the, I guess they're not even Gen Z technically, the generation under Gen Z? Do you think that, you know, little Timmy is getting the same joy from PS5 that, you know, us as adults are?
I mean, as a person that used to work at GameStop, that was one of the things that I used to stress out with like customers a lot. Like, you should know the age group of games for each particular system or company. I mean, because like for us, like, all right, we grew up on Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon, that was our real introduction to like, I wouldn't say the gaming world because we all grew up on like Super Nintendo and stuff like that, but that was the next level. We were just graduating from one level to the next. And I kind of feel like, especially like the PS3 era, like a lot of people were just buying it for their kids just because they've seen it. But then they would come back with the system like, oh, there is no games out there for my child like that. I was like, well, ma'am, this is a much more, I would say, higher level system.
Mm-hmm.
It's like games are not that simple anymore. You just can't just punch a disc in and just go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Firmware updates, this and that and the third. So it's kind of like you got to know the hardware, and you also got to know the ecosystem of games now these days.
So do you feel like, and either you guys can answer this, do you guys feel like it's worth Sony's time and effort to continue to try to market to a younger generation?
I would say, yeah, because I've always felt like the junior RPGs, because especially like when I go into the PlayStation Store, one thing that fascinates me about all these deals is you see all these other games that you've never heard about.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, when you look at the threads online, they have a large fan base of like younger individuals, older individuals. Like, I just feel like the marketing power is not there, but they're keeping up with it. So like, I always felt like, the junior RPGs does good. I felt like during the Little Big Planet Golden era, I felt like that was a great way to introduce both markets. Like, it was a playful thing, but craftsmanship brought in so many generations together. Now, I do feel like for branding-wise, they need another kids-like mascot, I would say.
They need a mascot, period.
Yeah.
all of our mascots are grown men.
Yeah, it's like, for example, when they brought Crash back, I felt like that was a good reintroduction because now kids started to really see what we used to play back in the day and how that really brought us together in this and stuff like that. So, like, even like, for example, Ratchet, it's favored by all generations, like, because it has that Pixar vibe, but it has such in-depth, chaotic, fun gameplay that you just love.
True.
I actually miss Jack and Dexter.
See, that too.
Yeah. That's a good point. You're right. We have kind of moved away, obviously, with the exception of Nintendo, because that's what they live by is their mascots. I think where Jory, you'd be better at answering this. I don't think Xbox ever really locked down a kid-friendly mascot per se, the way PlayStation did. Like, I don't know what would be the Xbox equivalent of like a Crash Bandicoot or a Jack and Daxter or a Spyro for Xbox.
Number one, I think the marketing. I think people, if I'm Microsoft, I think they have to do what Nickelodeon did, what Disney did. You have to put Junior on it.
Okay, like like
Nick
almost
Jr.
like a subdivision for Xbox.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to. You have to, because for me, the reason why Nintendo's success, because Nintendo's titles say that without the Junior.
Mm-hmm.
And if Xbox or PlayStation, I think PlayStation would have more success if they put a Junior device. Oh my gosh, PlayStation for kids. Da, 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 da. And I think Little Big Planet and all those games would do wonders. Ratchet and Clank would sell more because now it's more manageable, it's more controllable. They don't have to actually have the big boy console. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you do something wise enough to where you can integrate ecosystems, and I think Xbox will thrive in that because they already have a basis for that. So if I was Microsoft, if I was Sony, I would have a Junior division, and literally that's all they focus on.
That's actually a really good idea.
If you're an adult, you can buy. If you're an adult, you get to have all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because your hardware is allocated specifically towards that. Microsoft doesn't have a mascot in any way. They tried with Super Lucky Tail, but that's like I mean, for me, I don't think it's that hard to make one. Just with Microsoft doesn't. They kind of don't know who they are. They kind of don't know. Like it's like the 56-year-old trying to get to know the younger guy. Hey, but
how do you do, young kids?
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I feel like someone like me who like the younger kids kind of don't have a good basis for understanding quality. Mm-hmm. And that's unfair, Joey. I said, no, it's not unfair. Look at what we are in math. Look at where we are in reading, state-wise, national-wise. It's kind of like with what we have. We don't even have, like, we had arts and crafts when we was growing up. We had a wood chipping class. They had carving classes. You don't have that. They're not even. They're like almost.
They're not getting their imagination stoked the way.
They put out a handicap. They're at a handicap and they don't realize it. But like for example, they're gonna get into tough times when they got to go against our kids.
Yeah,
they're gonna have a hard time because my brother is 40 and I see his children's adopt the level of difficulty adults had when we were in preschool. You already felt the level cap. You know what I'm saying? They was on Dragon Ball Z time. You know what I'm saying? Cell Saga. We now, our biggest threat is what's our biggest anime threat, man? Like you know what I'm saying? We are Fairy Tail. My Hero Academia villains. You know what I'm saying? That's man. But yeah, Microsoft doesn't have a mascot. Sony can go somewhere with that little free game they had.
Astro Boy thing.
Yeah. No, they could go somewhere with that.
They could.
They can go 100%.
That could be this generation's Little Planet.
100%.
Sackboy, if they're looking to look into some more.
They could go somewhere with that.
I do feel Sony really needs to, like, I wouldn't say revitalize, but maybe create new mascots for the new generation. Like, remember how when we started to get hardcore in that PlayStation era, it was Crash, it was Spyro, and then we graduated to Sly Cooper, Jack, Ratchet, those type of things. And then now after that era, it was Kratos. And then after that, it was Nathan Drake and stuff like that. I do feel like you need to establish those type of levels.
Those tiers, yeah. And
then maybe you could just gradually just grow from there. Like, even like how I said, the junior RPGs. I remember there was this character. He looked kind of like he was like a rabbit. And he was like doing those platform things in the river. I'll look it up the name another time, but then I was like, oh, that was very kid friendly.
Wait, Rayman?
No, not
about this. Oh, okay.
Like it was like another character that looked like a rabbit, and it starts with a K, something like that. But like I said, like junior RPGs really introduced a lot of people to like higher level stuff. Like it helped them graduate from one level to the next. Because I remember games like Jake Coon, like
yeah,
bro, like that added so like it was kid friendly and it added so much depth to your mind, and you were just able to just elevate from there. And so I do feel like Sony really needs to start to bring those things back. Like, cause like for example, like even Media Molecule's last game, Dreams. Like Dreams was good. Fundamentally, it had that very Tim Burton looking world type of vibe.
And you could get really creative with it. Like it did allow them to be very like free with their idea.
But did they shut it down?
They did. Yeah, they did shut it down. Well, they're not. Well, they shut it down in the sense of like there won't be any new content, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But overall, I felt like where Sony went wrong with that was like, well, first off, the marketing power just kind of fizzled out. I did feel they should have added more, like how we're talking about now, more kid-friendly ways to get integrated into it. That was the real success of, like, especially Little Big Planet 1 and 2. I felt like that was the big success of it, because you remember Little Big Planet was also releasing costumes related to movies. Like, I remember their first big expansion was almost, well, they had a Metal Gear expansion, and the next one that they had was Pirates of the Caribbean, where they added water elements to it. So like that just brought so much depth to the creative world that, you know, people were getting lost in that stuff, man. Like some serious levels, and that was really like a golden era for play, create, and share.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that all ties in beautifully actually into the next game, which is Foam Stars, right? Square Enix's version of, let's just call it for what it is, Splatoon, right? And, you know, I've been seeing, you know, some feedback, of course, they're calling it, you know, we have Splatoon at home version of Splatoon, and they just wanted a Sony version of it. But the thing that I want to ask you guys is, because for me, I think, it's going to get that unfair comparison. And let's be honest, Square Enix has not had the greatest track record as of late in terms of innovation. So it definitely could be a copy and paste situation. But I'm like, you know, it did seem different enough from the initial trailer of like, you know, you're building like your soap stand and you're able to hide underneath it and fire off special moves, you know, using camouflage. And I wonder, I'm like, okay, yes, obviously you're pulling from Splatoon. You're definitely clearly lifting from Fortnite, but is this a bad thing? Like, is this a bad move from Sony?
No, I don't think it's bad, because I feel like it's going to serve its purpose, which is chaotic fun. And I think sometimes, you know, that's what people want. Sometimes they don't really want depth or anything of that nature. I just feel like it's just going to be chaotic fun. It's available in the library. Buy it, try it out, have fun, upload your clips, have a good day.
Okay.
I feel like it's for people who don't play games.
You think so? Why?
Yeah, 100%, dog.
Who don't play games?
Because it's like, the reason why I feel like it's for people who don't play games, it's like when you look at the design of Foam Stars, it's like for someone who thinks this is what games are.
Okay. So going back to the whole thing, like you feel like it's like behind the
aesthetic.
Trend.
You know what I'm saying? Like the aesthetic, it's like, okay, anime man with champagne bottle rocket missiles. You feel me? And a bubble. And then the ending. I was like, come on, man. Y'all took that? Nah, fam. No. Like Splatoon, the thing with Splatoon, it had its own identity. You was a squid, y'all shooting paint, but it's colorful ink actually. And y'all go into, and it's like the concept in itself makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
I would definitely back you up on that. I feel like the aesthetic needs better identity. Like, for example, like after Smash Brothers, remember it opened up this era with there was like other brand IPs, beat 'em up games. You had PlayStation, which actually did fairly well. PlayStation All Stars.
Tim and I have had this debate back and forth. He defends that game a lot.
For me, dog. This is what I saw.
It had potential. I gave it like a solid 7. That's it. But games after that were, we had the Nickelodeon one, we had the DC one, which is kind of in a weird. Well, actually, I wouldn't call it DC. I would say Warner Brothers.
Yeah, the Warner Brothers IP.
Yeah, those two are in a very
Super Shaggy.
But it's the fact that, they at least tried, and then the aesthetic was there. The aesthetic was there.
Yeah.
It had potential.
Multiverses look nice. It did look nice.
So that's where I was piggybacking off, like, his point. Like, yes, the aesthetic, they need to develop that a bit more for it to actually sell.
Okay. I'm going to say that. On Tim's point, listen, for that DC game to sell, they have to go with Bruce Timm's aesthetic. For everybody. Yes. Let me tell you why. Yeah. Surprisingly, all they have to do is enhance Bruce Timm's aesthetic, but let that be the base, because there's no. I know what you're saying. I feel like it doesn't have a rhythm.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Like that rhythm.
Sorry.
Actually. Yeah. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I think you're right, because that was one thing about Smash Brothers that was actually, Smash Brothers set the precedent in a lot of ways, but there was a lot of ways in which Kirby did not seem out of place standing next to Cloud. And I think, to your point, in Multiverses, you're right. Shaggy does seem to look a little off standing next to, Batman and Arya Stark and Bugs Bunny. There's no, like you said, there's no coherency.
And the reason why I choose Bruce Timm is because he has his translation of characters translates very good, surprisingly. Mm-hmm. So, when you look at it, like, I know it's not a popular, people look at it like, I don't really like American cartoons, but I've grown a deep appreciation the farther I study. Looking at like Tom and Jerry's backgrounds, those were actual paintings. Mm-hmm. Live orchestras to move with the characters. Every time the character moved, a violin would go off at rapid speed. So there's actually there's a lot that goes into it. Mm-hmm. Superman, in my eyes, if he doesn't look like anything Bruce Timm, or it doesn't sound like Kevin Conroy's Batman, it's not real. It's not real. And look at Batman Beyond. Would you want to see Batman Beyond in any other fashion? Like, for me, true. I think Batman Beyond, Batman Beyond that's why I would say let's go with Bruce Timm's translation, because him translating Shaggy and the Scooby-Doo, I think it would translate very well, and I think it would give something easy to identify as. Yeah, his style is so simple. His style is so simple. It's easier to make characters for. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, his rendition of characters is actually very, very good. And they do better characterization. Gorilla Grodd was an actual threat. Mm-hmm. And the performances from the actors that were playing it, you had Mongol, you had, I never thought Gorilla Grodd would be so compelling. And seeing him and Lex Luthor work together is crazy. Parasite was terrifying. A lot of these villains that we've seen, Harley Quinn was introduced in that time. So that's why, I'm in love. I wish they went with that route. Excuse me. I wish they went with Bruce Timm's route for that gameplay, and like Foam Stars, the name.
But do you feel like, to that point, I want to ask you, do you feel like Foam Stars would have stood out more if it did go for a more stylized look? Because the thing with Foam Stars too is that it does kind of look like it's, even if they're not ultimately trying to, it does look like they're trying to copy another style. Like, it looks like you can kind of predict what type of game it is just by looking at it. It's not like this is different in some way.
Okay, there's a game coming out from Korea called DokeV.
Okay.
When that game comes out, it's going, and if it comes out the way they intend, I don't know if you guys seen DokeV. Mm-mm. So it's like a kid. It's like you're a kid and you're roaming around this city. You got like a jetpack with bubbles on it. You got a snowboard. You can snowboard in Los Angeles or whatever city, Seoul, Korea. And it's very colorful and vibrant. With Foam Stars, I feel like if you did Mario Sunshine Foam Battle, it would destroy Foam Stars. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if you reskinned it with any other property, it would sell more than they would sell. That's my problem with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yo, you got Donkey Kong with the barrel drums instead of just shooting peanuts. It's water now. Or I'm Diddy Kong. Like, Fox has his own form. Murder the game. The game will get clapped easily.
It's kind of like one of the PlayStation PS5's like opening games, that Destruction All-Stars game. It was kind of given like a goofy, twisted metal type of vibe, I would say.
Yeah, I think
But
was it
like,
it was the what was it that killed that game? Was it the monetization aspects of it? There was something that people said like this didn't click for
I
that
think
game
with
to like.
the online aspects, I have to look back. But yeah, like I get where like John Joy is coming from in terms of like style for one is important, but then also like gameplay mechanics.
Right.
It's yes, like you want to because I could tell Destruction All Stars was a game delivered for kids to get them introduced into like this higher sense of hardware and stuff like that. But I just do also feel like they kind of just let these games go out there to die. Like they don't really give them the firm backing that it needs to give it that longevity versus their blockbuster titles.
That's fair. I guess we'll see in terms of obviously it's an initial announcement trailer. We'll see if and how Sony decides to market it and push it and hopefully take the feedback to make a game that stands out. That at least stands out. 'Cause I do think again we need something. That idea of just having like a tier level for people who are just a little bit younger who but still want to have a gaming experience and they don't just want to play Nintendo Switch all day. I think you need that option for them. To move on to the next topic I wrote down. All right, y'all boys, let's talk about it. Assassin's Creed Mirage, Ubisoft in 2023. Yeah, no, yeah, Jory, yeah.
Hakai.
Yeah.
Hakai.
Yeah.
Hakai.
It's okay. To not just be a downer, right? I think it's good that Ubisoft listened to the feedback of Valhalla. And Valhalla, everyone's biggest complaint was, this is just way too much bloat. It's just too much game. It's kind of lost direction of what Assassin's Creed started off as. It's Vikings, the series with an Assassin's Creed title, right? And I think one of the good things about this trailer is that it looks like it's getting back to basics. It looks a lot more Ezio era, Unity Brotherhood era, which is, kind of what caused Assassin's Creed to blow up. That being said, and this is just my opinion, y'all can chip in. I feel like we don't care, right? In 2023.
We don't.
Yeah,
we don't.
Y'all getting back to the same sandbox stealth stab mechanics. Like, this was fire to me when I was in college 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Kid going to the streets of Jerusalem as Altair. When you hear that man preaching, it is our Lord who has betrayed us. You know what I'm saying? But now, bro.
Yeah, nowadays it's just, I don't know. Are they going? You think it's that they're trying to appeal more to like the die-hard niche audience? Because I can't imagine this being on a grand scale for everybody.
Late. You turned it into Madden. It's too late.
Yeah. Yes. A prime example. They turned it into a Madden. They went too far because I feel like, to me, the peak of this series obviously was the Ezio trilogy, Black Flag, and Origins. I feel like that's where like it was really at its peak. I feel like the gameplay has like it served its time, but it's time to move on to something else. Because you remember just like how Assassin's Creed was born from Prince of Persia.
Yes.
And apparently there was a remake that was supposed to come out, but apparently nobody knows what happened to it.
Oh,
and,
I do. They started from scratch.
Yeah.
That's what they confirmed.
Like, it's time for Ubisoft to really to move on to other IPs, because first of all, even as of recently, the Far Cry series is starting to really wear it out. Like, yes, 3, 4, and 5 were great. Blood Dragon 2, but I do feel like
Tim turned me into believer. I don't do first person shooters, and Far Cry 5, I had an amazing time. I really enjoyed that game.
Hold up. Wait, that's the one with the two sisters in the motorcycle?
No.
No.
That was a DLC.
Oh, because fan.
No. You would have liked 5, Jory. 5 was
with the conservatives?
Yeah.
The meth preacher.
So like I said, I do feel like Ubisoft, they kind of wear their series out too much. Like how Jory said, they turn it to Madden. And I feel like, yes, we're going back to a Middle East era. Yeah, because Altair, that was the Renaissance. Yeah, so we never really had something Middle Eastern before.
No, we haven't.
So, I mean, the new location is always a plus, but I feel like at this point, it don't really matter.
Yeah.
Can I be real with you? I think I think if they went into the Moors, if they had a Moor, because the way the Moors dress, like the Moors,
I don't think it's the aesthetic though at this point, bro. I don't think it's not like even if they did like Assassin's Creed Samurai. I don't think it's
back to what Tim. It's too late for them to go to Japan. By the way, Ghost of Tsushima kind of like killed everybody.
Well, they already hit Japan. By the way,
huh?
It
was like a. Remember they did those 3 small side stories.
That was China.
Well,
No.
Hey, let me obey kids.
Yeah, they did China, they did Russia, and they did India, which was like smaller side scrolling looking ones. So like, yeah, like it was more of like kiddish type of feel, but then it was like it still had that universe integration of it. I just like how you said, like it's a done deal already.
Yeah.
So I do feel like yes, like a big environmental, wall scaling type of stuff. I do feel like all right, it's time for you to move on to something else.
To me, I've never understood why they especially because it's still such a dope concept that they haven't been able to realize, and I feel like this current gen is the best way to go about it. Put your time and resources into making Watch Dogs dope. I don't understand. Like Watch Dogs, the idea of Watch Dogs of having a truly controllable city from like a hack phone, that's a great concept. And they fumbled it out with the original. Apparently 2 got a lot better reviews. The first one kind of turned me off, so I never got into it. And the Legion, from what I've heard, was not good. So I'm like, I don't understand. Right. So I'm like, you have these other ideas that you haven't really made like a bona fide out the park win yet. Why do we keep returning to, I'm sure there's gonna be a Far Cry 7 because Far Cry 6 sold really well. Why is it that you feel like, like is Ubisoft just playing it too safe? Are games like too expensive to like take a risk?
Nah, man, I think they need to just make a fantasy game at this point, bro. That with like the same they needed what Tim said. Let Assassin's Creed be the basis for their next IP, because yeah, man, it's not working, dog. It's not working. You gave us Bloodborne Assassin's Creed. That still didn't go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the one where we was in France and y'all destroyed that one. That was my first game that came with the Xbox bundle, right? That and Black Flag. I downloaded the game. I was happy. You know what I'm saying? I moved on to a new generation. I start the game and I'm playing. And as I'm playing, my character goes into the sky.
Because it glitches.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Over the city.
Mm-hmm.
The next time I turned off my Xbox, reinstalled the game, this time nobody had a face. I was chasing a man for 30 minutes in the streets of France, and he went invisible. All I saw was his sword. Then an arrow goes through my head. I thought we had muskets. What's going on here? That's an exaggeration, but you can imagine the level of stress I was going at.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous, man. I mean, yeah, multiplayer, like and then you guys made Ubisoft. You guys, that's the same company that made Splinter Cell, right?
Yeah.
And y'all don't take y'all don't do what Capcom do and like, this worked, or what Platinum Games does. This worked in this game. Let's try to put it in this game and make it better and make it its own. Make it its own. Nah. Y'all gonna let Kojima just do that to y'all?
Yeah.
Like
what's weird too is that it's not that they lack in creativity, right? I think if we look back even on some of the most recent games, like the rollout for Far Cry 6, the marketing for that was incredible. They turned what's his name, Giancarlo, into a meme essentially with the ha 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 look for Far Cry 6. Like everything rolling out to that game was A1. So I'm like, I know they know how to market their game still. It's just I don't know if it's just like the over reliance on the IP of like, yo, it's Far Cry, we out of here. It's Assassin's Creed, we out of here. Where it's more so the name than the actual like technical marvel for them.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the name. It's the name.
The name? Okay.
Assassin's Creed, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually like Altair more than Ezio. Really, yeah, because I didn't really care. I didn't really care for the Johnny Rico of Italy, from Starship Troopers.
I don't know, bro.
He was a cool. I know he's everybody's favorite, but I like Altair because he was his character arc was a lot more enjoyable because I saw him because his attitude was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
His attitude was trash, and when he was him being the stoic guy going against and seeing his world crumble was more satisfying because it was just more like I don't know, it was just an easier contrast for me. And I liked it Altair's slick remarks. You feel me? Very witty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was really true to the culture's rebuttal back and forth of sarcasm, I don't know. That was just me though.
Okay. I mean, I don't think anything was wrong with him. I do think Ezio. So I think with Ezio it was more so like everything kind of just culminated together at one. It was him. The supporting characters are really good. Even like his family structure, just like this is just really cool. I don't know. Like this is there's a lot of elements at once that just kind of worked.
What I don't like about Assassin's Creed is when we had to play as Desmond. I didn't like the fact that I'm just in some simulated world. That took me out of the game every time we went. Yo, was it which Assassin's Creed was I playing Splinter Cell in a white hoodie?
I wouldn't have minded Desmond if the story had actually went somewhere.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like at that point, you might as well just give me Watch Dogs.
Again, I still think something is there with Watch Dogs, honestly.
I don't know.
But to be honest, I felt like when Watch Dogs came out, I felt like that was like going to be like their transition to something else.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that's what like they probably was going. Like how you just said, if you're going to give me Desmond, just give me a better Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
A simulated world, but then you finally enter in the real one and things of that nature. I mean, but like I said, man, like Israel says, like don't overstay your welcome.
Yeah.
And I do like with certain IPs, they're just watering them down, man.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Yeah, enough is enough. Like we have to really spark different levels of creativity and just know when to really move on.
Speaking of, I think actually is a perfect segue. I think the segue so far have been A1. It's innovation, right? Let's talk about the PlayStation VR 2 and the games that were announced for that. Now, we talked about this a little bit in the group chat, right? I was very underwhelmed with what they showed off for the VR. We're getting, I guess you could say, a director's cut version of Resident Evil 4 for the VR because Resident Evil was already available on the Oculus. They then follow that up with another kind of zombie-centric game. There was like a group party shooter. And I'm like, I know, like, being a long-term fan of Sony, like, I know Sony has a habit of doing this of, like the bright, shiny new object and then dropping it immediately. And I feel like with the VR, it's like after putting so much time and resources for it to be like one of the best reviewed VR systems, like topping the Oculus in every way in terms of visual fidelity and this and that and that, where are the first-party titles? You're only giving us a Horizon VR game. Like, where's anything else? Spiderman VR. Something that's like, if I'm not into horror, if I'm not into like a run and gun in my headset, like I was telling you guys in the group chat, what are you gonna sell me that makes you want to say, let me put on this headset as opposed to picking up my controller?
You want to go to?
No.
Yeah. I'll go. All right. I feel like currently they're just relying on a lot on third-party support for it first. Because remember, like how we said in the last podcast, during that era where everybody was buying up all these studios and stuff like that, I do feel like nobody really, especially since COVID is kind of finally done now, I feel like nobody has really the time to really put together something, or even have the budget, I would say. So I do feel like maybe I would say probably next year we would probably see like more first party titles for it. But as of now, they're just trying to sell the system through, like how you said, visual fidelity and gore. Gore is one of the biggest selling points. Blood splattering here and there, slicing heads off, headshots and stuff like that.
Hearing the zombie breathe from your VR audio in the back of your head, that kind of thing.
And especially like a setting like Resident Evil 4, like Yeah, that's a seller. That's a seller. You in this cult village. Yeah.
You know how you don't. I feel like with the VR, they need to have more social games like Clue, Who's Who.
But I mean, they have
Simple.
Among Us. They have Among Us on Oculus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an Among Us guy. You know, I didn't like the word. You know, sus was been used in the black community since we was in high school. So it's like, you know, as soon as it gets rebranded, you know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, sus. I'm like, oh, we've been used your word. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to police words now, but I'm just saying, it's just like, okay. I guess that's, you know, for me, that's a bad turn off. That's a bad reason for it to be a turn off. And I just didn't find it to be interesting, man. I mean, I don't know. But that's a good version of Clue, Who's Who. Who did it? I think the Oculus Rift, I'm not the Oculus Rift, but the PlayStation VR can do. They could probably have more games that are like. I think Super Hot would have been a good. I don't know if they have it for VR.
They do.
You ever play Super Hot? They do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just you need developers that want to do something in VR.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's gonna be treated like, okay, we have this and that, it's not gonna go anywhere. You need to be someone who says, yo, VR is the only console I care for. And the boundaries are going to get pushed. You know, that's the only way. You know, make a funny, I think a funny experience. You could have a variety of games. I feel like the Oculus, I feel like the PlayStation VR should treat the VR like the Sci-Fi Channel does. They don't care.
That's where you kind of get like, in terms of this like creativity trumps.
And when I say creativity trumps like concept or whatever, like you know, because the Sci-Fi Channel is still funded to this day.
Yeah, and Sharknado was a huge hit.
Sharknado probably made more money than these acclaimed films with Leonardo DiCaprio and Leonardo DiCaprio and a whole bunch of, and it's just foolishness. Slither. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tim Burton films. They just, you know, they run Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
You know,
That's I think that's a good point. I think VR does need to kind of niche down more out the gate, right? Like, because even as we're talking about this, I'm like, you know what would this be dope? And it doesn't have to be, and this is not as out there as like a Sci-Fi Channel, but I'm like, it would just be dope if somebody put together a Superman experience. You know, I mean, nothing crazy, right? It doesn't have to have multi-layers to just some really enjoyable combat, ways to trigger heat vision for puzzles, or you know, your frost breath for obstacles.
They have Spiderman?
They don't. I'm saying like they need like those type of IPs. Like apparently the Iron Man VR sold really, really well and everybody enjoyed it. And it's a simple concept. You're in a suit. You're not doing anything crazy. You know, you can turn around, shoot, fire, fly. You know, have that simulation feeling of flight. You know, something like that. Just something where you're just like, wow, this is an amazing headset experience I'm able to take in at home. Spider-Man, as much as I would want them to do it, I don't know if it would work. There's too much going on. That's like
people will get seizures,
bro. That's a dizzy spell waiting to happen, like instantly. You know, so I think like a Superman.
Man. I mean, hey man,
know, the Flash.
No, they got to do it. They got to do it.
Something.
They got to do it. They got you because it's gonna build up on Twitter. Yo, how long can you last in the Spider-Man game without passing up? Like, man, what? Man, I did 30 minutes strong, brother. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, I think you need that. I mean,
Spider-Man
that's what
epilepsy challenge, bro.
Yeah, man, fam. That's what be selling these games, man.
Like, Phil, remember those hunting games from the PS2 era?
Yeah,
I feel like those would be good VR like introductions, or even more one of the ones where it's like a Tim Burton cartoony world type of thing. Or even like a game like, remember how Journeys was, where you were just sifting through the sand, like those type of worlds where you just get lost in them.
Yeah. That's
the whole purpose of this entire game, and just for you to get lost in the environment. I do feel like things of that nature adds a little bit more depth to it. I remember Tekken 7 had a VR mode.
Really?
I never played it. Like you always saw it, like when you booted up the game, it said like, you know, VR this and that, but I never. Well, of course, since I didn't have the hardware, I never explored it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, yeah, they are going to just try to survive off third-party support for a while. But I do realize, like, especially when I was looking at the studios that they were buying, like for example, they bought a PC studio to make their PC crossovers go more smooth.
Okay, for the ports. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they are buying studios that make sense.
Okay,
it makes sense for the future of what they want. Now, I do believe, like, you know, they do care about this hardware a little bit more than they did the PlayStation Move, I would say.
Oh yeah, man.
But like how, you know, I said, like, you need that support, like, for it to just actually just continue onward. Because yes, like, I get it. Like, we're more of the hardcore traditional gamers, like turn your system on, controller in the hand.
Yeah.
Even with this new accessory of like PlayStation type of Switch kind of looking thing, it's interesting.
Oh, we're gonna say that towards the end because boy, I got some things to say about that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a good crossover to that. I mean, we could talk about it.
Okay, no. All right, let's talk.
Y'all see that in the background?
Resident Evil 3?
No.
Oh, the Switch at the bottom.
Oh yeah, there you go, Tim. There you go, Tim. Right? Yeah, there you go,
screen.
Yeah, there you go, man. Right.
No. Let's get into Project Q. Right. So I'd mentioned, I don't remember if we brought up on the podcast itself or we just mentioned in the group chat. And at the time, I was telling you guys that there's a rumor that Sony's going to announce like their own version of the handhelds. Apparently, the rumor was that it wasn't going to be cloud based, that you still had to have the PS5 connected and kind of be within a proximity of the PS5. It seemed a little outlandish given where the Switch is, given where the Steam Deck is, given where these Steam Deck competitors are at. But lo and behold, that's exactly what they announced. It's a controller cut in half with a tablet in between them. You can cut your PS5 on. You know what I'm saying? If wifey got the big screen TV tonight, you can be off on the corner in the couch while she's watching, you know, her latest reality show, and you know, be getting to it with Spiderman. Rumor right now it has somewhere between 4 to 6 hours of battery life. And my thing is, which I think you guys are also going to echo, but I do want to hear your thoughts on it, is how does this set Sony apart from anybody else? Why would I buy this if I'm not somebody who's in a couple who has to share a TV, or 2, a parent who has to share my TV with my kids? In any instance which I have access or unlimited access to my own TV, why would I need to buy this thing to go play my game in the kitchen while I'm cooking? Especially when we have all these licensed software like Backbone that lets you use your smartphone as remote play. Why would I need to get a Sony branded version of this? I was actually more impressed with the headphones. So Sony does make great headphones. I was more impressed by their earbuds than I was the actual Project Q controller. What do y'all think?
I think it goes back into what I touched earlier. And Tim touched on this too. Marketing. They got to do a junior division.
So you think this is for the kids?
I mean, yeah, they have to, because there's no way. I mean, because the thing is, you could, like, if you label it the junior division, but it could do what you intended to do for the adults or for someone who wants a level of compatibility. It'll scratch both boxes. Because the Switch, there's no characters that are like rendered to the like, even the designs of everything. Splatoon is not for people like me and you. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna go like and stand in line at GameStop. You know what I'm saying? For a midnight release for Splatoon, we're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I go all digital now these days, and
feel me? And then okay, on top of that, if you are digital, like, I'm like, you know, if you wanted to sell, like, I really feel like they have to say something that's junior division. That way, you can beat Leapfrog, you can beat the Fisher Price tablets, you can beat the, like, that's what I feel like they need to do, man. I don't know if I'm doing a poor marketing scheme, but I think so.
It makes sense. I think it's like an infrastructure within an infrastructure, right? So I think call it a PlayStation. It's a new version of PlayStation Home. It's on the everything.
Yeah, call it a PlayStation something. Call it something to where kids or you want like young teenagers that are not quite adults yet, someone who are 12 and 14 to 15 to jump into this thing, and then you can translate them and say, you know what, I want a more mature experience. Really? Bring back that Sony president who's not a CEO for real. Those commercials was A1.
Mm-hmm.
Those commercials was A1. You know, bring that back. I think the marketing has gone down for, that's a tangent for a lot of these companies. But
yeah, they are
because
definitely they're definitely relying more to the Ubisoft point earlier. They're relying a lot more on the IPs to carry them. Like they're not going out of their way to attract somebody who might be on the fence or who just isn't in the know. Right? It's like at this point, it's like if you're with Sony, you're with Sony no matter what we do. If you're with Microsoft, you're with Microsoft no matter what we do, and so on and so forth. As opposed to, again, it's like going back to even just a brief tangent with Tim with the Pokemon. Right? I was like, I hadn't played a Pokemon game since the Game Boy Color, and Tim was like, "Nah, you're missing out on an experience. Like Omega Ruby's an experience." So I'm like, "Well, I have a 3DS. I do need more games. Let me give this a shot." And I was pleasantly surprised. I think, to your point, Jory, is like Sony's not doing enough to get everyone else over now, right? They know they're leading in console sales. They know that they're providing like the single player experience with their first parties, and they're not doing enough to be like, hey, you might be an Xbox fan, hey, you might be a Nintendo fan, but hey, we got something for y'all over here too. Let me show you.
I mean. And then the design don't sell me, bro. Like they use the lightsaber. They called Kyle Kestis. They had him, you feel me? And then like, just weld this together.
Yeah.
You know what it looked like to me, man? It looked like the Kia. What's that Kia commercial where you had the hamsters dancing?
Whoa, chill. We might get sponsorships down the road, bro. We like Kia. I like Kia cars.
I'm saying Challenger, Dodge. If you want me, I'm your guy. Like, nah, man. Like, bro, fam. I could not believe Jim Ryan. My bad, dog. Jim Ryan, yo.
But then I also wonder, like, do you think that they're putting enough confidence in it? Because it seemed like they kind of tacked it in at the very end. They didn't even give it like, usually Sony, when they did, for example, like the accessibility controller or the DualShock Elite, they gave you a breakdown of what you could use, what button did what. This is for this. So like, hey, by the way, we got some headphones and Project Q. All right, y'all, peace.
It's so sad. I was talking to a buddy of mine on the phone. He told me the PlayStation Vita was ahead of its time, and my younger cousin.
The PSP was ahead of its time.
The PSP, but the thing is, it was too much to do. You had to buy the PSP DVD of Sparta. The Sparta. Come on.
Them making a different type of disc was
too much. Had they tried to be like, yo, why don't we go discless? Why don't we go all digital?
They tried to do that with the Vita.
Yeah, but I think it was because now I have these games on disc.
Right, and no way to play them. No, you're right. Yeah, that was one of the
like,
many issues. There wasn't enough backwards compatibility. You're right.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's best for you to try to future-proof yourself, man. Because the day the Steam Deck adds a camera,
it's over. Once the Steam Deck gets better battery life, maybe like a Ultra HD 4K supportive screen. It's better, it's over.
You have that other one that could do 60 frames.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can do 60 frames.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that far off. It's actually just as expensive as the top Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I wouldn't mind spending $700, but I'm waiting for the new Switch to come out. So, yeah, like it's just now that you hear that Nintendo's interested in making games with more graphical improvements, I think I'm gonna wait.
To see how they kind of trailblaze yet again.
Yeah, because you can obviously play. I'm playing Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, for what you can do in Breath of the Wild, it is being held back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the PlayStation handheld. And then how long does it last?
They're saying 4 to 6 hours. We don't know the exact numbers yet. They haven't confirmed.
Is it wrong for me to anticipate it to last as long as a cell phone?
I would think so.
It's too much? It's too much to ask for? Okay.
We don't know the specs
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we don't know the specs
I just
yet,
wanted to make sure if I'm tripping.
Yeah, like I would imagine if it can support, let's just say 1080p 60 frames a second, maybe even a little bit higher frame rate wise, you're not getting an all day event out of that. Part of the reason why I get so much battery life out of the Nintendo Switch, because like you said, Nintendo Switch, you might get 30. You know, if it's a fighting game, you might get 60. You know, so it's not taxing the battery as much. You know, Sony kind of prides themselves on, you know, they're not the leading in graphics like Microsoft is, but they got graphics. You know, so playing God of War in the corner of your room it's gonna kill your battery life. That's just the facts of where we're at currently. So before we move on, Tim, you didn't have much to say. You anything on Project Q or?
Hey, dog, I'm not gonna. Yo,
I didn't really care for it.
Okay. All right. Next topic on my list. And then I'm gonna, like I said, give it to y'all first. I'm gonna give it. Actually, you know what? I'll pause it for a second. Jory, you predicted Grand Blue. Tell us why we should care. It looked cool. I'm not gonna sit there and act like it didn't look cool. It did look cool. But why was it on your radar?
Okay. Before, can I go into Dragon's Dogma? Because I was actually waiting for that.
Actually, that was my next topic. I just put on.
Oh, okay.
We can do Dragon's Dogma if you want.
Okay, let me go to Grand Blue and we'll go to Dragon's Dogma. The reason why, because first for me, when I found out Platinum Games was making for it, and I saw the early runs of it, the early demos or the early footage, I was interested, man, because I didn't want the thing with Tales of Arise. I like it, but I hate that it stays locked in an arena. You know, just let me, because it's like these characters look cool for what?
They do.
You know,
some great character designs.
They look cool for what? I hate that. You know, I'm not a Final Fantasy guy to the point where like you could say, yo, you're not a real one. I'm okay with that. I would never play Resident Evil 4 tank controls. Never. 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 You know what I'm saying? So with Grand Blue Relink, it was more along the lines of open combat. I felt like the characters was cool. The characters was like, it looked good, and then it had some development issues because it went to a different studio. Because for whatever reason, Platinum Games was probably working on that game called Babylon.
Woo.
Falls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened development wise, but dog, yeah, man. It went. Something happened, and we didn't see it for another 2-3 years, and now it's back on the scene and on a different gaming company. Side Games is actually, I think, a Chinese company. Okay. So to add on to Phantom Blade, I am more optimistic, but I'm just my worst fears that turns into Wukong. But back to Grand Blue, I liked what I saw. The demos were looking crazy. The environment, the scales, the enemies were taking, because I like that stuff. I like unique character designs and interesting combat.
Right.
I'm not a guy who's I don't like the stale fighting. I'm glad it's not I hit you and then you hit me.
Turn based, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only turn based strategy game I could play is Pokemon. I don't know why, but it just works for me.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as with Relink, I'm glad that they showed it, and I can't wait for it to come out, man. I like big, vast environments and the color. I'm a color guy. That's why I like Dragon Ball Z. So I like One Piece. You know what I'm saying? I like color. For me, vibrant animes or vibrant games speak to me more. I enjoy them a lot more. It's more pleasant to get in and out of. I want to hop into this, and it's just more pleasing to my eyes. It's like Visine, man. It's just soothing. I'm drinking the water from Prince of Persia 1 and Warrior Within. Like to this day, I wish they sold that bottle. I wish they made that bottle of water, the Prince of Persia water, dog.
They probably did. I'm sure there'll be a collector's edition once that remake comes out in 2027.
Oh yeah. And then if they dare to just put skin over him and he play the same,
nah, they won't.
Yeah, but
after the feedback from the HC teaser trailer, they're gonna do it.
But yeah,
they have no choice.
I can't wait. That's really one of the games I wanted to play. It's a lot of characters, man. I'm kind of worried about how deep the combat is going to be for those characters, but it looks like it's going to be. And I like those long games. That's one of them. It's up my alley, man. Monster Hunter. It was my favorite. It became my favorite game of all time because of the color, because of the depth, the environment. And I think with them sharing not too much of a similar aesthetic, but just being able to play with these characters, man, I'm looking forward to it. They showed that chick with the samurai sword. You know what I'm saying? The Virgil inspired character. Man, Virgil did wonders on this generation. Jeez, there's Virgil everywhere.
Here is.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I can't wait for it, man. I'm really looking forward to it, man. That's really one of the things I wanted to play, and I'm gonna play when it come out. I'm gonna get it day one.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's one of those things where again it might be what Tim did for me with the Pokemon series. That might be with you for Grand Blue. Where I'm like it piqued my interest enough to kind of see like, oh, I wonder how this is gonna turn out. Like I'd be curious enough to want to play it.
Did you play Tales of Arise?
Mm-mm.
Tales of Arise Guardians of the Galaxy came out that year too, right? I think. If it wasn't for Resident Evil 8, I think Resident Evil 8 was the game of the year for that year, but Guardians of the Galaxy was amazing, man. And
it was a really good game. It was.
I'm so mad at Marvel's Avengers for ruining the possibility of me ever getting a part 2. But I'll save that for the later segments of why I like that game. But
I don't know if it was all Marvel's Avengers' fault. There's a lot more to it too. Had you not told me about the story, the idea of just playing as Peter Quill in an ensemble cast did not appeal to me from a
no, I didn't like it either.
Yeah,
but it's one of those. It had one of those things that we experienced as children of the '90s, where the game didn't look fun, but as soon as we started playing it, he's like, "Oh, this is actually fire."
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
That was one. Yeah, that was one of the phenomenons. But we'll get into that game to why I personally like that game a lot. We can talk about Dragon's Dogma, man.
All right.
Tim, you got anything about Grand Blue? No, you're not interested?
No, yeah, because I know Tim, you did have at least a little interest in the Arxis fighting game.
I just like the fantasy elements of the world. It was kind of giving me like a Genshin Impact type of vibe. It was very colorful. Yeah, I mean that's really about it. I mean, I'll see what the reviews are about. Because obviously,
I like Genshin Impact.
The gameplay is not really my type of style. I'm just more like if it was like an anime, I would watch it. I would watch it.
Mm-hmm. They have an anime.
I feel like I'm more like, what is the lore like? Because I feel like it has some very interesting characters. Like especially when I was watching the fighting game tournaments of the actual game. I did watch the actual gameplay, and I was like, wow, they got some very interesting looking characters. But of course, it's labeled to a fighting game. So there's only so much depth that could actually go into it. But I mean, I'll keep it posted. I'll see.
Okay.
I do expand my horizon a bit.
Okay. All right. So we can move on and get into Dragon's Dogma and Final Fantasy 16. I figured they'd be both worth mentioning at the same time, because they have similar, it seems like environments, not environments, but settings of they kind of seem to be pulling from the same era for both games. We did know that Dragon's Dogma 2 was in development. For me, I had never played the first one, I know. So the idea of getting the second one announced and having a trailer wasn't ooh to me. The thing that stood out to me from Jump was the fact that, oh look, there is a old school era with a black character in the trailer. Well, what do you know?
Oh, fam, hey,
what?
Yo.
Before I get into that, Tori, I'm gonna let you and Tim sing all praises for Dragon Dogma 2. Before I get into that, because I'm gonna get into it, so I'm gonna let y'all.
Tim, you a Dragon Dogma fan?
Not necessarily. I mean, I did watch the anime on Netflix. I did enjoy that. The only thing about it is I'm just happy that it's not another remake from Capcom. That's overall what I'm happy about, because
it's not another what?
Another remake. the remake.
Oh, okay.
We talk about this all the time. It's just like, bro, they're just living off these remakes for about the past 3 damn years. Like,
they have to. They had to.
It's to the point. It's like you already know what's coming next. Like, because I told Anthony, bro, Resident Evil is just a tech demo for Resident Evil 4. That's what we got a couple of months later as a trailer. Boom. It's like y'all didn't even release the DLC for this game out yet. Y'all just say, "Oh yeah, we're moving on to Resident Evil 4."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been remake after remake after remake. I mean, the most stuff franchise has been doing very, very well. And I know like the RPG of this magnitude, people have been saying they want it back again. So I'm just glad Capcom is actually delivering on certain promises.
Oh, you kind of cut out for a second.
Yeah, you can cut it off, brother.
Oh, I mean, but they still in like a little dark water with me because, you know, Mega Man Legends 3 still have.
Oh, yo, Tim, we gonna talk about Mega Man. I'm gonna do an in-depth dissect of why they not smart people.
We'll start putting together a list of like just separate from the podcast, just like you said, like a deep dive of certain topics, of where you just go in like an hour straight on this one topic.
Okay. Okay. For me, Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma was like it came out of nowhere. I forgot how I came about it. I think I was at my homie crib. We just came from class at college, Miami-Dade, and he was like, "Yo, I got this new game." So what game is it? We started playing it, and he was doing these crazy spells. Like he summoned a meteorite, and we hit the dragon. Then he jumped on the dragon. I said, "Yo, what? You could do that in the game?" And he was just hitting he was just beating up the griffin. Then he said, if you catch it your pawn was like, "Yo, light it on fire." Then they lit it on fire. You could do like combos with your team. And I think that was like amazing. I'm talking about synergy combos. You could have your pawn jump on your sword. You fling him up on the sky. He grabs the griffin, starts wailing on him. Then you get your bow and arrow ranger, and if he has the fire equipped, he can shoot a fire arrow. Then the griffin comes tumbling down. I thought that was the amazing mechanics, because usually with those games, the fighting to me isn't really that impressive. It's like watching Hercules right after the Justice League of Teen Titans is done, and the depression hits you. You got to see actual human beings on screen now. You know what I'm saying? Like yo. So then now I'm playing this game in the combat fire. I'm doing combos. I'm like, yo, this is, and then because for me, the Lord, there was a part where the game started to grow on me, man. It started to get like crazier and crazier. It was one point where I go to a city, and then one of the dudes run up to me, the knights, "Arisen, there's a letter for you." I said, "Okay." They give me a letter, right? And then they're called the Nameless. "We see you, Arisen, and we're coming." And all I see was somebody in the bushes looking at me in a cutscene. And I was like, dog, they're like, "Yo, square up with us at this time, at this place." And I was like, "Nah, this is fire, dog." And then some of the missions were like, I really enjoyed those missions, man. There was one where you had to find a witch. Then you found out who the witch was. And then for me, overall, the story, the concept of pawns was cool. I just wish it was multiplayer. I don't know if part 2's...
I was going to ask, is there anything that you felt like... if you had to give, multiplayer. Let's say you had to give like a quick list of 3. What were like 3 features you want to see in the sequel?
Multiplayer.
Okay. Okay.
Because the only thing that got me worried about Dragon's Dogma 2, it looked like a reskin almost at certain points. I kind of was afraid. I said, "Yo, this looks almost exactly like Dragon's Dogma."
It's fair to say it's probably still in pretty early development, though. Like I would imagine,
Yeah, I kind of wanted a new land, a new area, just a completely different look. The dragon is back That's a good villain though. I don't have a problem with him. But his name is Gregory. They just say it different. Gregory. Like, nah,
That's
dog. Like,
fine.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
fine. Not everything needs to
I
be
knew
what's it called? What's that show on Amazon? That
okay, D&D?
yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons
D&D?
show where all the dragons have
Silax?
amazing
Si-
ancient German names. It's like, all right, bro, like.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the only thing with Dragon's Dogma, I like the environment could look a little bit more, you know, I don't know, like unique. It looked kind of like, I don't know, it just didn't feel as robust as I would be anticipating it to be.
Right. Okay.
Because
That's
you have
fair.
more robust lands and features. Like Monster Hunter has a beautiful.
Well, Monster Hunter, you gotta realize, bro, that's an alien world, bro. Like Dragon's Dogma is still more of that medieval Game of Thrones type of feel. Like, yeah, you could put like a valley village, probably a snowy mountain, a swamp. I did feel like a game like The Witcher, like especially the three kind of like pushed a little bit more of like different environments, even though they were very similar. But you could tell, like with this type of stuff, they're just playing it safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Yeah, and I kind of don't want them to do that because it's like back to what I said. Like these games don't go away anymore. They're like right there. We can turn on right now. We can play Mario 64 if we wanted to. You know what I'm saying? They don't just go away. So it's like it's not as new as we think it is because the graphics are better. You know what I'm saying? Because now when you play it, you're gonna drop the game. You're gonna drop the game. I'm telling you, you're gonna put the game down. If you don't do like, for example, with that didn't work with Resident Evil 1 remake, right? Resident Evil 1 remake. People are like, oh no, that's the greatest remake of all time. But that's because they added new enemies and they changed certain enemy play styles. Like that needed to be done. That had to happen. You know what I'm saying? For me, Resident Evil 4, I love Resident Evil 4, but there was things I would have not taken away from the wackiness in the game. I would have probably tried to find a way, but not remove it. The dialogue to me, I enjoyed, man. I didn't mind, man, because that's what made Resident Evil 4. But the over the top action, I would have probably scaled it down, but I would not have removed certain elements of the game because I feel like it was still, you could have still had it and made it more modernized.
Well, speaking of removing certain elements of the game, Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, black people,
or anyone non-white.
Or Dragon's Dogma had a brother in the game. No, he was like, oh yeah.
Trailer actually had a brother in there. I'm like, funny. Crazy how that works.
No, them boys,
not based in real life.
They saw the retaliation. It was
crazy what you can do in a fictional setting. Oh man, imagine! Would you look at that? Oh wow, crazy! Oh wow. So yeah, to transition over to Final Fantasy 16. I've been waiting. I was waiting for the showcase to talk about this because it's gonna come out in a few weeks, and I'm sure we'll revisit just the game again. And I'm still conflicted because again, I think what we were seeing looks dope. I mean, the story itself, we'll kind of see there's a bit of like time skippy stuff in the beginning, kind of similar to how they rolled out 15. But the idea of these different tribes that have the summons that we've known for all these years, kind of having like their own, I guess, like mage character that can summon the spirit of Ifrit and Shiva and all these characters that we've come to know in Final Fantasy, I think is amazing. I think the fact that they're getting a Devil May Cry action designer to do the combat looks amazing, right? There's all these things that look really, really cool. I actually think the idea of them not doing a flat out open world and more of a hub is actually a good idea for a Final Fantasy game. I don't think, the whole like sprawling terrain of just miles and miles of running and running and running, that was a time and place. We're not in the 90s anymore. I don't want to see, the main character run across a world map as, because we're moving away from random spawning enemies. We're moving away from all these things that are just of yesteryear. So I think the idea of like having a hub, fairly big hubs, kind of similar to how they did certain things in Jedi Survivor, where it's like, it's big enough to feel like a world unto itself, but it's not open world. I think they're doing a lot of steps in the right direction for the Final Fantasy as a franchise. But I come back every time I see the trailer. I come back to that interview that IGN did with the director when they asked him, "Hey, everybody seems to look a certain complexion. Is there going to be more diversity to this game?" And his thing was, "Well, we're going for accuracy for that time period, in that location, and so on and so forth." And it's just the thing that was a puzzling thing to me. But the other thing that was puzzling to me is this is also, granted, it's not the same director for that game, but I'm like, but look at Final Fantasy VII, even the remake, right? It's like somehow, some way, they were able to take Barrett. He walked a fine line between every black pro wrestler in the 90s and Mr. T without being a caricature. And then you do the remake, the character design is amazing. There's nothing about it that looks like they don't know how to design black people, right? So I'm like, I know it can be done. You did it with one of your most treasured entries in the game ever. How can you then turn around and say, in this final, again, fantasy world in which I can summon the demon fire dog lion to fight the Fire Phoenix, that, the idea, the concept of having black people or Indian people or anyone who is not white is just like, accuracy. We got to go for accuracy. How many times as, people of color who play other things other than 2K, Madden, and all these other things that kind of get put on us, not that there's anything wrong with these games, but how many times have we heard or seen or had to play as the white protagonist? Just to appeal to the masses.
Listen, man. Man, Tim, I'm gonna let you go first, man. I feel like you got some good wisdom, dog. Because I want you to speak, and then I want to speak, and you kind of like.
And before y'all
hear
speak,
what I
overall,
but before y'all speak, let me just say there's nothing wrong with the white protagonist. Let me just say that. I don't want this to kind of go, if somebody watches this in the comments, here they go. Like, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I just curious as to why it seems to be the thing we're still returning to in 2023. But go ahead, Tim.
I do feel like, first of all, it's the cultural thing. Because, when you grow up on watching anime and all those other things, that's the staple that they've always stuck to. Now, in terms of designs, like, yes, when they put their minds right, they could actually do it and do it flawlessly. I just kind of felt like, especially where we are now with games, they just want things to be out. They just want it out. So, like, we're going to take this basic character model, give it different hair, give it different eyes, give it different this, give it different that, slap it in the game. I do feel like when it comes to people of color, they have to put more thought into it. Because especially as of now, people of color do have a much more stronger voice now than when they did years ago. Like, there's a bit more vocalness about, like, exclusivity and, more presence and things of that nature. So I do kind of feel like, they don't want to walk on thin ice anymore. Mm-hmm. They just rather sell you something that they know traditionally you would buy it anyway.
And you're right. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, right? We're probably about 10-15 minutes away from talking about, the Metal Gear Solid remake, which will have a white-looking protagonist. We're talking about Spiderman, which one of the protagonists is white. There's nothing wrong. We've all grown up on these either very Western influence or Japanese influence, protagonists. There's no issue with that. But, even listening back to the last podcast, when Jory was talking about the character designs in Tekken, right? We've gotten to a place where a black character can look like a black character in Tekken, and then not feel like a character. We're looking at Street Fighter 6, which is dropping next week. And yeah, you could say, I don't know about her, the whole she does graffiti thing, but we're seeing a predominantly black character with hair accuracy and things. Like, we know that this is possible now, right? It's not, you're right, it's probably a little bit more work, but it's possible. It's not as hard as it might have been at once upon a time. Like, it's a lot easier to kind of still be culturally sensitive to people who don't look like us or, them or whatever the case may be. And again, going back to the remake, even with the expansion pack, you had Yuffie, who is clearly more Asian than everyone else in the cast, and it was fine. She stood out just enough to make her different from Cloud, Barrett, Tifa. And again, it's the same company, it's the same parent company. Or what do you think?
Okay, I don't ever want to be the guy to beg people to represent me that don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want to do it, like, I'm not gonna beg you to represent me. At the same time, because it's like you see the Japanese people that want to represent you correctly, they do it. They don't draw you with crazy lips. They actually respect your style. Like, I didn't know I wanted a Raven until I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
I love Raven, you know, because I love Blade is one of my favorite characters. You feel me? Like, during that time when Blade commercials dropped, I didn't even know. I'm like, yo, what's this movie, man? That's Wesley Snipes. That was my hero actor of you know, back as a child. So for me, I don't ever want to beg a group of people to represent me a certain way, you know, if they don't want to do it, because it's just disingenuous. You know what I'm saying? I find it to be disingenuous. I think I understand, like, yo, because for me, I'm like, man, y'all got dragons that come out the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really.
It's a fantasy world.
This is a hard concept to do for you. And I think that game would have worked better if I'd seen other tribes in a Final Fantasy world I think it would have looked amazing. I think it would have been even more. But at that point, I would have been okay with an open world-esque, not to the degree, but if they did go that route, I would have been okay with it. But they didn't go that route. Yeah, like, if they, like, you know, I never really wanted to be that guy to, like, beg people to make a game for me, because if they don't see me as, you know, interesting, I'm not gonna beg you to, you know, because Cowboy Bebop, that's probably the most black characters I've seen in a anime, like, and actually they get it accurate. They got the guy who's into jazz, and it's not a stereotype. It's like, yo, that's how they are. I don't have a problem with Kimberly. I think her being interested in 80s music, she still has a Walkman. That gave her more character and didn't make her a caricature.
True.
You know what I'm saying? She's just artistic. She likes to dance. She's hip hoppy. You know, if you was arguing DJ, even DJ wasn't that bad, because all DJ had a traditional martial arts costume. You know what I'm saying? He had the fighting gloves. His alternate costumes just had the Jamaican flag, him with the crazy Jamaican yellow hair. You feel me? With them, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I know Jamaicans, kid. Like, they my kin. They don't have maracas. You know what I'm saying? That's wild. But it's like, I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if Japanese people they have a hard time understanding different cultures when it comes, because, like, they're even surprised that, yo, the palm of black people's hands are a different color. And I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying? But look at how they depict Americans.
That's true.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
They don't exactly go crazy with them either. They're usually blonde hair with blue eyes.
Look at Bandit Keith from Yu-Gi-Oh, dog. Dog pulled out the 9 on Pegasus, dog. During the back. Pulled out the big dog, a USP, in fact. No. It can't be. No, let's give him the HK USP. You know what I'm saying? Like,
with the American bandana, boy. Woo.
And the thing with Metal Gear Solid, I'm not even angry at Metal Gear Solid, because if the director himself values different cultures, it's gonna bleed into the craft. My favorite character from Metal Gear Solid 4 was Dreppin. Dreppin was a black man, not somebody trying to be black. He was a brother. Solid Snake, you gotta watch out for yourself. Right? And he had the naked monkey with him. That made him mad interesting. It's not that, and a lot of the important characters that were talking to Snake, even in Metal Gear Solid 3, there's a black dude coaching Snake on the bombs and how, yo, Snake, hey man, Snake, how you doing, brother? I'm good. What's your name? I'm gonna be helping you with tutorials, making sure that I don't remember his name exactly, but I know there was a black guy in Metal Gear Solid 3 in the codex that I was talking to. I know you know what I'm talking about, Tim. You probably fondly remember.
No, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, because
yeah. So
you kind of cut out a second. It's not, you good though.
Yeah, and it's not that, you know, I feel like it's all the director's vision. If the director doesn't, you know, if he doesn't understand that, or I see the team struggling to understand people of different cultures, don't do it at all then. You know what I'm saying? I understand we get fatigued, but I feel like it's time for we have to be the change, man. I'm just not gonna beg.
Do you feel like, because the thing for me, like the other part of it for me is like, you kind of hear all these industry stories throughout the years where it's just, it's like, is it a situation where we end up having to separate the art from the artist in this terminology, the art from the director, of like, there's all these not so subtle implications that Kratos should have been black, so he's played by black voice actors, but he's not black design necessarily, and as times go on, he's kind of taking on more traditional white features. Like, is it certain things where it's like, or like, just to speak about them really quickly in passing, you look at, for example, a game like Forspoken, person of color leads, not the best game, right? Deathloop, person of color lead, not the best game either. Is it something where it's like,
it wasn't that bad,
but it wasn't that good?
No, it was. You know what I think? I think people just. I to be honest with you, sometimes I understand that people don't like the woke stuff, but you gotta you have to be able to be conscious of when you're retaliating to a degree that you don't become a villain in your own right. Because I understand why. Okay, I don't agree with certain character changes. I don't want you to give me a black Superman. Because I feel like we have strong enough characters that could stand on their own. Static Shock was a shock to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? The Black Green Lantern was excellently written in the Justice League. We have characters that could stand on their own. And I think the black community needs to have enough self-esteem to like not want hand-me-downs, because it's not a good thing. When they kind of like character swap, it's not good. Because it's saying that without the name, this character won't sell, but it's not true at all. You could make it work. They just don't. They just don't want to. It's not a good. It's not really good. Think about it. Do you want the girl to go select you because she's tolerating you, or you want her to truly like you? True. You know what I'm saying? And then this is, you don't ever want to be the guy who feels like he has to play a role with his girl. He's being someone who he's not. It's stress. You know what I'm saying? You got to be like, yeah, I'm an extra violent guy. I'm going to be edgy like that to prove something. No, dog, like you got kids with this woman. You're going to be acting for how many years? Right. You know what I'm saying? You need to be someone who's not who I am. I want to find somebody. And I feel like that's the relationship with these things, with the arts. And to be honest with you, it does speak to that. Like, yo, what's wrong with a character being a person of color? But the people that's saying, not to lose focus on what I was trying to say earlier, I do think they over attack or overreact to certain things, because sometimes it's not really a woke situation. It's not wrong that the character wanted to make this person black. It's just the time that we in. Now, people have agendas where they do force things down your throat. But if I come out with if an anime guy comes out with a black character, a Japanese dude decides he's not doing it because he feels pressured to. He's doing it because, no, I wanted to make a black character. The directors, nobody asked for a Bruce. They gave us a Bruce. They didn't do what they did in Dead or Alive with Zack. I think Zack, if you play Dead or Alive, Zack, I hate Zack.
I'm not the biggest Dead or Alive fan.
Zack is in Dead or Alive. He's the only black dude with shades on. His alternate costume is an alien Teletubby skin, and he does this every time. It's horrible. I hate that character. I think I never understood. I'm like, yo, this character is trash. You know what I'm saying? He's fun to play as, but I just never liked him versus, you see other characters get actual characters from different nationalities, right, and make them interesting. Yeah. And because they want to. The Guilty Gear guy, there's a lot of black characters. I think my favorite looking character design.
The Vampire Samurai.
It's just kind of. I just thought it was kind of sick that his name was Nugaraki, but
Yeah. Fun fact, y'all. I actually auditioned for that character, by the way. So
you did. You told me. Yeah, you told me. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And you didn't. You didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
Why?
But, that's.
But another black guy got it.
Another black guy got it. Yes.
Okay, that's not that bad, right?
No. I mean, it's the acting world. I could give you a long list of things that I've auditioned for. That I'm like, that looks mad familiar.
Because back to the point, it's a mixed bag because look at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I thought Poochie was black. The dog, homie got a tape like a black man.
You do.
Homie got a haircut like a black man.
He does. He has a very religious background, as most of us are known to have in our black culture. Yeah.
No, he ain't black. He's Italian.
A very tan Italian, an olive skin Italian.
And then let's go even back to One Punch Man's Dark Shine. Like if you're gonna do this, I'd rather you not do anything at all. And then it's crazy, like the people that defend this stuff.
Hold on,
because if I suddenly
let me give a quick context. So Tim, in One Punch Man, I don't know if you read the manga. There's a character in it called Dark Shine Aloe or Dark Shine Lust or whatever. And when he's at his peak, he has all the features of a black bodybuilder. But at some point, he gets defeated, and you see his backstory, and you find out that he's maybe Mexican at best. His skin got darker as his muscles got bigger.
Yeah,
he's not actually
come on.
Black.
Yeah. And you know, like if I was to ask one that question and he says, well, you know, you can, like, I'm like, oh, homie, I ain't gonna lie, your response is kind of trash. I'm not gonna ask somebody to give me product. If that's your disposition, how would you feel, right? If like my superpower for destroying the world as I transformed into a United States senator who happened to be Caucasian, destroying the people. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's to me that if somebody wrote a character like that, I'm like, yo, that's, you know, you're not writing it from a funny standpoint. You really have some animosity towards this group of people. Like I say, okay, yeah, despite the history, I don't think it's okay to villainize every Caucasian person. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's not wise to villainize any group of people.
I agree.
You have to actually, you know what I'm saying? It's not smart. You have to kind of like not say be a bigger person, but actually see things in true context. Because you warp your reality when you do that, man. Like, I don't you know. I guess,
and just saying
but there's.
I guess to say in closing, because we do got to move on.
Yeah.
Just because the other conflict I have, right? It's like, you're right. I think ultimately the takeaway is that we don't want someone to force the inclusivity, right? But the other conflict is again, the game looks pretty good, and I would imagine it get pretty good reviews. And what I think to myself, just like I think to myself when I consume music or when I watch shows or whatever, it's like, if I go out and spend my money on this, knowing that this person made this decision, am I encouraging further behavior down the road? Of like, yeah, I said this, yeah, there's a little bit of pushback, but it sold tens of millions of copies. I'll just do it again in Final Fantasy 17. You know, like, is there a point where, you know, is this the time that we kind of get we protest with our wallets? You know, do you get it from a used third-party handler when you want to play it down the road? Is this a game that you kind of support, knowing?
I mean,
and Tim, I'll let you take.
I do.
Let Tim get his thoughts in.
Okay, Tim, my bad.
I mean, ultimately, I just do feel like there is some copy and paste elements there, because they know just by like brand name, it would just sell. It would just completely just sell for what it is. And, you know, like I said, it also goes back to the drought from COVID. Everybody just wants something new. But then, yeah, I do feel like in terms of the designs, it's just, that is that culture that they know as, and that we've been used to for years. I know, Anthony, I remember one time there was this old YouTube video where they were saying, like, you know, dark skin was also like a symbol of evil. Hence why the old Street Fighter days, Akuma. Evil Ryu, Violent Ken.
It's just crazy. They just get
Balrog. Yes, but yes, like, you know, the racial undertones are there. But then the thing about it is, we've also played into that role of, well, we're just gonna buy it anyway because of brand name. So it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword, so to speak. Now, you know, for the future, like, you know, it depends on our uproar. And of course, how we deal with it with our wallets. Because ultimately, that's how the legacy continues on, if we support it or not.
I do think it is wild for you to be more aware that your audience is different and you have different groups of people that like your product. For you not to like have, some form of like, hey man, like appreciation in a way.
Bro, the way capitalism works, if you buy it, you basically what you just said.
No, I know, yeah. Because you could. I mean, yeah, if you want to be mechanical about it, yeah.
That's what it is, though. It is
what
mechanical. Yeah.
If that's what it is, then yeah. But it's like for me, if I'm a director, I'm like, okay, a group of Mexicans really support my favorite this cartoon, and like, they don't care that the character's predominantly black, and they supported me, or people in Germany, oh yes, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's wild, man. But
Yeah. All right, we can move on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We get it from a feeling standpoint. Like, Pokemon is a prime example of just
years
underselling us. But the point is, we keep buying it, so they're just going to continue, because we got to understand we continue to feed the beast.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, we're having these discussions about it, but what really determines it is our dollar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just buy it used from GameStop. They don't like that, but
that might be the wave. That might be the wave.
Well, I mean, but even now they're starting to become a contingency plans for that. That's why, like, oh, by the way, yeah, because for example, Alan Wake said it's going to be digital only. Yeah. And then, to be honest, that's going to be the stepping stone where a lot of companies are pushing forward, because especially like from the PS4 era to now, digital sales have risen so much to the point where, like, I remember when Sony said when the PS5 was coming out, they was like, oh yeah, GameStop, just to let you know, we're only going to give you the digital version.
Oh, wow.
Because they're trying to get rid of the middleman, because that used game era of like PS3 to like middle PS4 hurt a lot of studios, man. A lot of studios went out of business. A lot of people didn't get paid because that model was shooting people in the foot.
Okay, that's fair.
So they're pushing out the middleman, bro. All they need you is your credit card on file and your house. That's all they need.
That's true. You got enough storage space. That's all they want. Digital. You're right. That's a good point.
You want to get some snacks? DoorDash you some Monster and some pretzels. While as you wait for this game to download.
That's crazy. Well, all right, we spent enough time. I just want to get you guys' thoughts on this, because like for me, it's like ultimately like I do want to play Final Fantasy. Like I've been a Final Fantasy fan for a while. I haven't bought every entry. Sometimes the gameplay elements are just like, this is not for me. But this one, I'm like, I've loved Devil May Cry inspired combat. So I'm just like, oh man, I probably will play it used ultimately, because I'm just like, I do want to play it, but it's also, that in the back of my mind, like I can't see myself parting with $70 to contribute to the millions of games sold, so you can just do this again next time. So from this segment, like I said earlier, I'm gonna let y'all take it away. We're gonna talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta. You guys are the Metal Gear experts. I'll intervene to keep us on topic and to kind of narrow it down time wise. But either one of y'all can start. I'm just here to be an observer and ask questions.
Phantom Pain did kind of leave like a very void in my spirit, especially as the post game you found out all the gritty stuff that happened. So I mean, I am looking forward to be reintroduced to this universe. I do feel like it is time for a remake of the older ones. So like I said, I hope this serves as, a purposeful remake for Snake Eater, Sons of Liberty, and, the big boy itself, Metal Gear 1. But I also feel for them to go extra mile, give us an official version of Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2 from the 8-bit era. Show us exactly what happened at Outer Heaven. Because I kind of feel like, especially as of what we learn about what happened in Phantom Pain, is like you want to see that. You want to see that, especially when you saw the final quarter. That basically was a scene right before in Metal Gear 1. Basically, he got the contract to say, like, hey, this person is coming after you. And that leads into Metal Gear 1. So, like, you want to be able to see what actually happened. To see Gray Fox before he became the cyborg ninja. To see all that other stuff which inspired Metal Gear 1. Yeah, bro, that collection don't matter, bro. That don't matter, okay?
Matters to me.
Yeah.
It matters to me. It matters to me.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what's that? And it is, I got it. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm gonna go. Tim is right. I do want to see the 8-bit one, because when we was playing Metal Gear Solid 5, I was under the impression that the final showdown was gonna be at the tank that we spent so much time building up. Snake was gonna infiltrate. We was gonna get a message to go back, and the whole people infiltrating your base was a lead up to the final showdown with Snake. Actual Snake. So you're gonna go back. You're gonna find out that your team, you're like, yo, what happened to my best captains? You're gonna see bodies everywhere, people taken out. Like you're gonna hear it's like, yo, we da 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 da. Then you was gonna go and fight Snake throughout the entire rig, and Snake was gonna clap you. Then you find out it's Venom Snake. That's what I thought was gonna be the final showdown of Phantom Pain. I thought Snake was gonna come in and just like and be the final boss. That's what I was hoping it did, and it just no.
Yeah, because like they did highlight some moments of like past Metal Gear games that I thought was like a plot hole. Because like when you met Liquid Snake, I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Because I was like, he said he met Big Boss when he was younger.
Yeah.
But we never got to saw that until you got to that part where he was called White Mamba. I was like, White Mamba.
Yeah.
And you found out.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, so they are tying up a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
And how he knew Psycho Mantis. So like it was building up to something much, much bigger. Even just like how that last Metal Gear that you fought was like a pre-prototype to Rex.
Yeah, Sahelanthropus.
So you saw like a lot of like influences that was eventually like leading up, because you basically saw the foundation of Outer Heaven. And I felt like it could have just really truly pushed the storytelling elements. Like, wow, this really is the missing link to Metal Gear. But of course, the stuff with Kojima happened and stuff like that. And I think that's where he was going to take it. Because, like, yes, the 8-bit era, they're classics just because of that set the tone for Metal Gear Solid 1. Even when I first saw Metal Gear Solid 1 when one of my best friends was playing it, I was like, yo, bro, there's a lot of dialogue in this. And you realize they was talking about a lot of stuff that happened in Metal Gear 1 and 2, up in between Big Boss and this, and how they Big Boss survive and all that other stuff. And how dude had a whole ass doppelganger, and that's who you were playing as.
Yeah. I think that was probably one of the best prologues I've ever played in my life. The Metal Gear Solid 5 prologue, where you wake up with the hospital bed and you got to get out. A lot of people was complaining, oh, it's scripted. I'm like, nah, that was incredible.
No, if you didn't move, you got shot.
Yeah. That junk was incredible. When you're trying to escape from the hospital, that was the best experience I've had in an open video game. There's things that but back to Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, Snake Eater, I'm worried because the screenshots, for something that we've been waiting for so long, and seeing that it doesn't look as interesting as the Pachinko cutscenes, if it doesn't look better than the Pachinko, when I say Pachinko cutscenes, at least give us the environment, that level of depth. You know what I'm saying? Did you see you remember the Pachinko cutscenes? I thought this was a brand new Metal Gear Solid game. I was angry.
Mm-hmm. Konami and their money making machines,
could
boy.
not believe it, man. They spent all that money on, oh man, but okay. The screenshots didn't show me like, I don't know, fam. Like the screenshots did not show me that like the environments were gonna have the level of
That's too early to tell.
It's too early to tell. I'm hoping so, man. I hope they change the environment, man, because they said they're changing the combat. They're gonna make the combat better. They're gonna make the gameplay more interesting. I said the environment matters too, because I saw that bridge. Huh?
I mean, Phantom Pain's combat was pretty good.
I think that I'm hoping they're bringing that to Metal Gear Solid 3. That's what I'm anticipating.
Yeah, that was very. Those combat mechanics was very good.
Very good. No, but for 3.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Like I said, the screenshots, bro. That's too early to tell. Because I do foresee this game not coming out probably till probably 2024 or the early 2025. I do feel like it's still in the early development stages. It's a CGI trailer, and again, especially like a game like that where they're definitely going to take the expanded version. I think it's called Subsistence.
Yeah,
I do feel like they're going to go with that version because, first of all, like I said, the battle with the boss, bro. Graphically, they know good and well they are not going to fumble that. Like, till this day, that is one of the most hardcore, especially for that era, pushing graphics. That little flower field that y'all was in. Beautiful, bro.
Oh, but Tim, man, like, the reason why I would never say, because it's like, I don't know if you was a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's like the Attitude Era. That's how I feel Kojima's involvement. If Kojima's not involved, because the thing is, okay, the reason why for me it's so much worry because Kojima was the guy underlining the very multi-threaded storylines. These guys aren't going to be able. Like most average people, that doesn't come out of them unless they're like that. You know what I'm saying? The Dead Space remake, the reason why it worked is, in a way, they played it very safe. Because it's a 1-for-1. Resident Evil is not a 1-for-1.
There are some parts.
Not necessarily?
Yeah.
There's some parts that didn't change? Okay.
There are some parts that did change up a bit. But like I said, with this one, I do feel like, yes, Kojima's not a part of it. And then, Kojima has a very loyalist type of group attached to him. And I will say that, yes, because I did feel a kind of way damn, so he's not a part of it. There's no announcement that he's linked to.
And it wasn't going to happen.
But it's to the point I do feel this will deliver because, first of all, all right, look at Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, in terms of, wildlife interaction. They know for a fact that, bro, you're going to need some gator fights. You're going to need an anaconda to try to come wrap itself around you, all type of things. I do feel like the technology that they're going to put into this is going to overlap that. Like I said, bro, those type of screenshots, the bridge and all that other stuff, that's cool.
Yeah, because
that
bridge was looking trash, dog. No atmosphere.
I highly doubt that would be the final.
I'm hoping, bro. I'm hoping, man, because it's because I feel like Konami's trying. Konami, for me, gives me the impression that they're gonna do the bare minimum.
I mean, I think speaking on Konami as a whole, I think that's kind of been their business model up until recently. I think once they saw the way that Capcom kind of paved the way with the in-depth remake, and Konami realized the properties that they've just been sitting on, essentially. It's if we do this, with even 75% effort, it's going to turn a profit. We can get back into the game. We can be the gaming monolith we once were. For as little as I know about Metal Gear Solid, I'm not for nothing. the way they've been handling the last, I'd say, year and a half of Ninja Turtles games has been amazing, in my opinion. Cowabunga Collection was great. I got to play a lot of games that were on systems that I couldn't afford as a child, right? All in the palm of my hand now on my Switch. And then Shredder's Revenge, amazing. You know, so like I think they are trying to almost kind of be, this may not be like a one-for-one parallel, but again, it's like the outside looking in, is they're trying to be a more patient DC to Capcom's Marvel of, we want to kind of do the same things because we have these amazing IPs, but we're seeing what you guys are doing. You're killing it in the remake game, and we want in.
Yeah, because for me, I don't know what made them transition to making medical equipment and pachinko machines. The money.
Konami also publishes Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. To give you some context.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm aware of that.
They haven't put out a Yu-Gi-Oh game that you could play offline for consoles in about 4 years now. Why? Because we will microtransaction you to death. Oh, you want the new Dark Magician support? Oh yeah, no problem. $4.99 on all consoles. Thank you. So
I have faith in it. I have faith in it because I am looking forward to being in that universe again, especially like with Snake Eater, just like as a story, what it really opened up to. Especially like when you played Metal Gear Solid 4, when you found out all the like pieces that connected together, like the Patriots and things of that nature. Like, to be honest, like, who's to say that they might revisit even the two PSP ones that leveled the whole story, like Portable Ops and Peace Walker.
I mean, okay, man. If they can't, if they do that, Tim, that's gonna be the magnum opus.
Yeah, cause look, bro, like they've literally done. Resident Evil has literally almost remade its entire catalog, even though it was available on the PS3 era and PS4. But then, like, they did 1, they did 0. They leveled up. They had a new graphics engine for 2 and 3. They just did 4. Like, I'm literally thinking about it now. Like, they're probably doing 5 right now, and they're probably just gonna retcon 6.
Yeah. I think so here's my thing, right? For me, okay, because the property already exists, I don't see why. I like what Final Fantasy did because Final Fantasy 7 already exists. Why? These people have been playing it for years. You can find millions of playthroughs on YouTube. Why am I going to give these people the same product for a monolith of people that aren't vocal? The people that really care about the game don't talk. They're like, if it's not coming out, there's no reason for me to venture around these malls. I'm not staying here. With that, I really feel that it's wise to change a lot, but not too much, as long as it has this core theme involved. Yes. It's okay to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to change certain things. It's okay to have things that weren't there before. The reason why I think Resident Evil 3 failed is because they removed stuff that made the game what it was. The clock tower was a big conversation, and I could understand why Nemesis wasn't pursuing you throughout the whole game. He was just he popped in for a sequence and left, and it was just like certain things just didn't make any sense. Like, you put the flamethrower, you gave him a flamethrower versus a rocket launcher, or you gave him a rocket launcher at certain points. People were very upset. With the Gator fights, man, if they add that level of depth, man, or the mud being a problem, slowing you down, you get the traction and you get heavier because you were in the water. You know what I'm saying? Your bones breaking. How is that gonna play into effect? Are you gonna are you gonna have to hide your equipment and go back because you can't carry everything with you at certain spots? That's a little too much, but I'm just saying, who knows? And it might work.
I do feel like the physics of when he got hurt and then feeding animals and then especially the camouflage. I do feel like those aspects are going to play a good environmental role, or maybe even how you scale trees. Add a little Predator vibe into it, bro. Like,
Yeah. Oh no. Hands down. Hands down.
it's up in the tree, and then here's a knife through your head.
So
Add a
yes.
little,
Sorry, guys.
add a little Rambo Tomb Raider type of vibe into it. Like, especially the last one when she was able to put mud on herself, or like hang from a tree. There's physical elements that can actually change this stuff around. Because like how you just said with Final Fantasy VII, like the biggest thing was that like now it's not this turn-based combat anymore. You can move around just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what leveled things up so good for people, that people just wanted to see more and more of what you could do. And I do feel like, that's what they say, like, remakes. Because remember at one point it was about remasters. Remasters was just a little coat of paint and just give it to you. Remakes now is like, yeah, you have to change something fundamentally about this to make me want it.
Okay. I think I'll kind of cut out that last statement.
Yeah, point blank. Point
Okay.
blank. That's what you have to do.
Okay, I think that's a good point to move on from, but I think that is the hope, right? I think the immersion aspect, almost like, to use the word loosely, because obviously Kojima will be involved. Like, I think the remake is a good chance to do like a director's cut in a way of things that weren't able to be included due to time, or things that we can do now due to technology. I think that's going to be the thing that, based on what I've been listening with you guys, that you'll be looking for the most, or looking forward to the most, is ways in which they kind of make the immersion of that game even better. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And now to move on to the height of the showcase, the thing that people are still talking about 3-4 days later, which is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Now, I preface my statement to say this. No matter what I'm about to say, both good, bad, and in between, over those 10 minutes, I have never felt money leave my checking account faster. I'm like, no matter what they do, I'm buying this on day one. It's bought already. My pre-order will be waiting for me the minute it's available. That being said, as we got into it, I think for as much, again, mixed feedback that I feel like I've seen overall since the release of the gameplay trailer, I think Insomniac did what they needed to do with 10 minutes. I think, there was this, debate about if Peter would actually get the suit, or we're going to just vet him proper and kind of skip the whole, symbiote Spider-Man era of it. I think they did a great job of establishing, like, yes, not only does he get the suit, but we start the gameplay trailer with him in the suit, right? Here's a look at Kraven. Design looks great, very comic accurate, doesn't look too cheesy over the top. He looks like you can take him seriously, right? I think I'm a little kind of on the fence with the whole Kraven's Hunters pack and their whole cyber pet whatever thing. I think I want to see a little bit more about that. I don't dislike it. And I think it makes sense in terms of how do you involve new henchmen when Kraven, historically kind of did his own thing on his own. For most iterations of him at least. So you get a good look at Kraven. You get a good look at Peter in the suit, how the suit's gonna look. We can all kind of discuss about how we feel about how the suit looked, but I'm like, okay, I'm glad that they showed this out the gate. They showed off the fact that, yes, we have made upgrades not only to Peter's moveset, but to Miles' moveset as well. Yes, we have kind of dialed back the gadget-heavy combat and kind of focused more on their abilities. I think the things that they showed combat-wise made sense. Miles making that line that he can trapeze across to do a little bit more options with stealth. They're kind of diving more into Miles' bioelectric powers, where you can kind of use it as almost like traps to hit multiple opponents at once. It's looking like another cinematic A1 experience. There was just something about the way when Miles is talking to Genki and they're trying to find the lizard, and you're crawling in the pitch black darkness and you can only hear lizard eating. That adds that factor of like, okay. And then you have that big drop down and you think it's a lizard, but it's actually Peter in the symbiote suit, and you're just seeing the shadow of the tendrils kind of come back to the costume itself. I'm like, this is, oh man, oh my goodness. And then just like the smaller details of like, and I've talked to you guys both about this separately, of like, my thing as a long time Spider-Man fan is I'm a big fan of when they take Spider-Man out of his element and do it well. That's maybe the one positive thing, even though they're kind of okayish movies with Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, that they were always willing to put him in an unlikely situation. Instead of skyscrapers, he's dealing with a boat on the first movie. He has to kind of maneuver his way around Europe as opposed to the skyscrapers in New York, as Spider-Man, things like that. And one of the things that I appreciate about this is it kind of all culminates on a chase scene over the water, which is in Spider-Man's forte. And you're seeing Miles use the momentum of a jet ski to propel himself back into the air. Bro, what? And he has the web wings, and I'm just like, this looks so good. This looks so good.
I ain't gonna lie. I think there was a missed opportunity with that one, dog.
Okay. We can get to it.
Jory, what are you talking about? Oh, this guy.
Hold on.
It's gonna hit. Go ahead. Yeah, it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit. Trust me, it's gonna hit.
So, I'm like, I think it's, and then of course we'll get back into the back and forth between all of us. But I think in terms of, if I only have 10 minutes and we've been waiting for this game, we know that fans have been waiting for this game for 5 years. I don't think there was a better overall showcase you could do for this game. Yeah, people, there's certain things that I'm definitely going to nitpick. I do think that some of the combat looked a little bit samey for Peter in particular. Miles looked a little bit faster, which I liked. But Peter, I'm like, I've seen that animation before. I don't know. There's things like that. I'm not super crazy about like the UI necessarily. Like when you bring up the little abilities wheel, I was like, this is kind of but I think in terms of them, the potential of where this can go, the fact that Peter is, throwing these hunters around in the middle of like a domestic neighborhood, amazing. Like I think we're getting enough variety so far to kind of show like, okay, this is in a good place. And that's my initial thoughts. Y'all take it away. And y'all can go first.
I appreciate it a lot. Like how you said, within 10 minutes, I feel like it did what it needed to do. Like, yes, Dr. Joy is complaining about how the black suit moves almost like a Stranger Things type of way. I think that's because we're mostly used to seeing Venom do that type of fighting style versus Peter. There's only certain games with Peter when he had the black suit. I think it was Web of Shadows, and there was another one.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Where we saw more of that type of gameplay when he had the black suit. And to be honest, I think it's fine. I did like, the narrative demeanors that you see a more violent, more like aggressive. Like even when you said when he came crashing through the building and you saw the haziness and the tentacles, like he's like, I was like, yeah, Miles, you're taking too long. Let me just do it. Like it's like that's what I'm really, really looking forward to see. Like, and just like how you said, the momentum of the combat, like, bro, the man literally kicked 2 people off a jet ski, jumped back up, and was just flying through the air. And it's like, bro, it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
It really delivered, man. And even when you saw the single Craven trailer, like he's looking for new opponents, like, and when you saw like the grid of all the people, and I was like, oh, is that a hint of like side missions?
Yeah,
or people are going to be involved? Because you saw a Wraith, you saw a Taskmaster, you saw a Tombstone, you saw a Black Cat. Like, so it's like, and then you saw like a little multi one where they show like Kingpin and other people. So they're going to show you that this game also has a level of continuity that you're going to love. So I'm looking forward to it, hands down.
Yeah, again, no matter what I say in these next couple minutes, my money's spent already. It's a done deal. It's already bought.
I was, yeah. I mean, it was nice to look at. I like the fact that you went with a different setting, the dusk setting, and they was at Queens. I immediately noticed it was Queens, because Queens has that feel. My thing was my gripes was I did like how Miles was using the jet skis to rappel, but I thought it would have been cooler had he kind of like not parasailed or just luge. I don't know what you call it, water skiing.
Okay.
I thought it'd been a lot cooler if he was water skiing, because it
I
would
mean,
have been.
they did add that a
would've-
little bit with the drone thing when he was running away from Lizard. That's technically in there.
Nah, I mean like literally water skiing with the jets. I thought he was gonna move from jet to jet water skiing. I thought that'd have been a lot more cooler because of the fact that's actually Spider-Man not actually relying on, just looking for something to web on. Like he can find a way to be. I thought it would have make him more. It would have gave him more of a doper aspect, because the arguments is like, yo, Spider-Man's garbage outside of New York. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was one of my things. I'm like, man, I love Spider-Man. And then, we at school, like, yeah, Jory, but Spider-Man's garbage outside of New York. I'm like, yo, I don't think I like Spider-Man anymore.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
They do call him a street level hero for a reason.
You know what I'm saying? So I thought that would have been cool, because you could have integrated kind of like a different level of gameplay for that brief mission to want people to go back to it. Because this is a single player experience. You know what I'm saying? You have to. There's things to this day that make me go back and play certain games again because of that feeling. The dive suits. It'd have been cool if only Miles had it. The glide suits.
No,
it wouldn't have been,
if anything, if they had to pick one, it would have had to have been Peter. Miles is
because of the webbing, right?
Yeah, the webbing is his
Okay.
original design. Miles is already super overpowered as it is.
Okay.
Like, you gonna give him more advantages than Peter?
You're right. I thought I don't know. I don't feel like the electricity translated. Like he can shoot it out of his body.
No, he can't.
It's the suit that helps him.
No. So basically, it's almost like a hand taser, essentially.
Okay.
Like I mean, obviously, like from Miles Morales, he's able to kind of exude it to a certain degree. I think that was more like a gameplay element than like what his actual powers entail. But look at it more as like a hand taser. Whatever he touches kind of gets electrically charged.
Okay. I thought with Peter's design, like I felt like he would have been more intimidating had he sent somebody flying through something, like the little house. I mean, for his special
to come out, bro. Like,
what you mean? Like they didn't show that, so I could critique.
Bro, he pinned the guy against a Jeep. He's doing Chun-Li super kicks against some old innocent old lady's house. Like, what more you want him to do with the suit, bro?
But yeah, with the suit, man, I just didn't think it was. I mean, like, I wasn't really drawn to his play style, because it's like, yo, like, you feel me? Like, like Goops. Like, if that was Venom, I'd have been more okay with it. But me playing as that wasn't.
I said, like, most people are. That's more of a Venom style.
Yeah.
Plus, as you can see, Venom just might be a boss. But then, but we saw all this cool stuff that Venom did. But, Peter get the black suit, and he's just still got basic Peter moves.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's what I said. Like, this is technically a different suit. Just like how, like, when he got some of them other suits, like the Iron Spider suit. Oh, you're able to do these type of things with that.
Yeah, you have more reach with the tentacle parts. Yeah.
Like it's basically, all right, this is the new suit that you could probably use for multiple story episodes. This is how it plays.
I'm not mad at it. I think, Jory, you're being a little bit unfair, because if you go back to Web of Shadows, Peter was doing very, very similar things. He's whipping tendrils around. He's like, it was a lot less web-based, and a lot more like heavy hitter, heavy big bruiser. It was not the agility that you were getting when you were regular Peter.
If the suit had like, because I feel like you could have still made his gameplay interesting, though. Like if the suit was able to if it had like noob cybot abilities or something like that, that'd have been kind of cool, like to a degree.
A shadow clone?
I mean, not a shadow clone, but something to where like he can.
That's what
you can.
It is the living shadow clone.
No. Like with the I don't. Maybe, man. Maybe, I don't know, man.
Nah, Jory, I don't know, bro. You're not your critiques.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's like, okay, so let me try to find a why. I know why. It's just not coming out the way.
Okay. In the meantime,
Because I
because
don't.
it is, you do got to keep the audio part of it going. Do you guys feel like some of the backlash, quote unquote, that I was seeing was that it wasn't a big enough step up graphically compared to Miles Morales, which I don't necessarily agree with. Like, I know, obviously, right, there's this whole thing about, like...
It's the time.
What do you mean?
It's the time that you're...
I don't think... Because, all right, for example, right, God of War Ragnarok. To me, it's undeniable that it looks better than God of War. It's not a night and day. Like, for example, it's not... I wouldn't ever compare it to how God of War 2 looked compared to God of War 3, right? But I'm like, there was enough subtle changes where I'm like, this is a step up graphically to a sequel, right? And I think for some reason there's this misconception with there's a misconception with the game nowadays where it's like, here's this sequel, but we want literally everything built from the ground up all over again. And it's like, it's a sequel. You're supposed to just build on what was already there as the infrastructure. You don't reinvent the wheel every time a sequel comes out.
Yeah, because I do feel like, all right, they're using the engine, the upgraded engine that they used for Spider-Man Remastered, Miles Morales. Because remember, they changed Peter Parker's design and all that as well. So yes, like it has a bit more textures.
Yes,
but,
definitely.
But the fact that I don't feel like you needed to build something from the ground up. Like no, you didn't have to. First of all, that's gonna take longer.
Yeah,
it's gonna take longer because all right, Miles Morales was like a Christmas release, and the game fundamentally was good. It was shorter than the previous installment because it's basically almost like a.
It was an expansion pack.
Yeah, it was a.
Let's call it for what it is.
DLC expansion pack. Call it for what it is. But yeah, like overall, bro, I feel like it delivered. I feel like it delivered. And it's coming out in September. Let's look forward to it.
Right, we have all summer to get more in-depth stuff. I think, again, if I had to take 10 minutes to show a game that I have not shown a single gameplay clip from since 2021.
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah, so, man, like my teeth are a bigger part. I ain't gonna lie, that kind of was similar for me to like, no thanks, bro, Leon Kennedy.
Nah, bro. Nah.
Y'all was feeling the dialogue?
I was feeling the dialogue. I really was. I think the only thing that threw me off is my anime brain is just saying this is just angry Sasuke because it's the same voice actor. That was the only thing like.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why. That's
if
why.
Peter yelled out Chidori, I'd be like, there it is.
Oh man, like, is it the same voice actor for Miles?
Yeah, same voice actor. The only thing that sounded a little wonky when he was gliding, I was like, that woohoo sounded a little off. But it's the same voice actor. I don't
remember his voice being that high pitch, man.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. And then the lizard is terrifying. I like the fact I want to see them implement they gotta do stuff better if you're gonna have me turn invisible, dog.
We'll see.
Like if I can't do the Spider-Man where he's zipping down like a spider,
you can.
You can do that?
Yeah, you can.
And you can control the level. You can go back up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta play some more.
It don't work the best, to be fair. Like when we were talking about the last podcast, I'm like, you're not incorrect. It could be better for sure.
Okay,
but you can do it.
Here's what I was hoping they would do different with Venom. I was hoping he would be able to set up traps more, in the sense that he can probably like shoot some ink, or not ink, but some of the symbiote off of him on like a wall, and it'll do an attack, or like it'll act independently, then come back onto his body, and that'll be the attack.
I mean, we don't know that he can't though.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I was kind of hoping. You feel me?
Right? Yeah. 10 minutes. We don't know that he can't. We don't know that he can't.
We can't go through the full skill tree yet.
Yeah, you feel me? That's what I was kind of hoping. Like he can control parts of the symbiote independently, like, you know what I'm saying? And it'll act like its own attack. Versus not turning into a giant weapon, but it'll be more Peter oriented. You know what I'm saying? I thought that would be kind of cool. Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
It was Craven.
A1.
90 Spider-Man.
A1.
A1, dog. A1. The only thing I hope they do his love interest. I really liked it that I did like that aspect. Yeah,
I think I agree with Jory there too.
That aspect was dope, man. That was a good episode.
Heavily into his
that was a
backstory.
good 2 episodes and the to be continued.
Yeah, I'm with him on that one. I think it plays a part because
like the love story would be more for the father and son.
The father and son.
Harry, and Norman.
Oh no!
Like or the love story would be more focused about them. But yeah, whatever.
Nah, because I think the thing that the first game did well, right, is that we already knew. It was like two main villains, right? We already knew at some point, Dr. Octopus is going to show up because Otto Octavius is in it. But it was how we got there, right? It's like you had to kind of give him a reason, like the nerve damage he's experiencing, right? It's not just the same thing he went crazy or whatever the case may be. It's like it started off with good intentions, or even Mr. Negative. It's like his backstory of wanting revenge against Norman. It's like you had reasons of like, okay, I don't agree with it, but I can see this villain's path. I think skipping over a motivation for Kraven that isn't rooted in another person kind of makes him very one dimensional. He needs something to fuel. Like, why did he even get into need to prove himself as the apex hunter in Insomniac's world in the first place? What was the kickoff point for that?
I mean, but the way they introduce this trailer and make it seem like, saying like, hey, sir, a new hunting ground. Oh, by the way, my ex is from there.
They might do it differently. Again, Insomniac has had a knack of just putting a little bit of a tweak on everything, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, so even though I'm not super crazy about the symbiote suit design, I also really like the idea of it. I like the idea of it.
Y'all like Spider-Man's build?
Yes.
Yes. Don't.
Am I tripping?
Yeah, you're tripping.
You're tripping.
Tell me why.
You're tripping.
Because, bro, like it's all right. This Peter is a very standard, agile person, and I do feel like the natural build of him is fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine, bro. It's fine for what he does. It is fine.
Like we were talking about in the group chat, and then we'll move on. But I think again, my whole thing with Spider-Man is I need to be believed. Let me rephrase this. I need it to be believable on 2 levels. I need to have this man to have enough builds to where if he punches the Hulk, yeah, he won't knock him out, but he's gonna feel it, right? So there's enough muscle there because we know what Peter is really capable of, and he's usually holding back. But I also need to believe that this man can crawl through vents at 5'10". And if you're 220 all muscle, there's no way that stealth element you're talking about goes out the window. Your shadow is intimidating at that point.
He don't gotta be 220, bro. You know what I'm saying? Nobody said 220, man. At least in Israel Adesanya build, you feel me? Anderson the Spider Silver build, like,
Dory.
Like, I mean, kid, I'm Spider-Man. You feel me? Like, Spider-Man, kid, my suit is from space. I mean, I don't know, man. You feel me? I see congruency right here, man. Like, that's just me, kid. You know what I'm saying? Bruce Wayne could do it, man. Bruce Wayne was doing it, man. It's 2 different games, Jory. Oh, my God. No, kid.
Cannot use that.
You can build the game around his body, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
So, if you could build a game around his body, then why do you care about the build?
Because, it's too Marvel integrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't seem like a guy going to college, man.
I don't know. I guess
I don't know, man. Like,
I guess for y'all listeners out there who are watching us on YouTube or listening on, we're now on Spotify, Apple, and Google, by the way. Feel free to leave us a comment. We'll probably take a side on, are you with Tim and I on like his build is just fine, honestly.
But yeah, I feel like it's integrated in Sony heads, like even the entire pamphlet or for what people are gravitated for. So it's like a loose argument. That's why I go to, you know what I'm saying, Sony are drawn to Sony creative properties. The infamous Second Son semi-realism, but not, because it's the same company, right?
Yeah.
No.
It's the same developer.
No. Sucker Punch made Infamous.
Okay, Infamous. And Sucker Punch also made Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did Insomnia make?
Ratchet and Clank.
Uncharted?
Resistance, yeah.
Resistance. No, Uncharted was Naughty Dog. Yeah, bro. You're gonna have to bring a little bit more fuel to his build. I will say I agree with you with the animations aspect. I think they're not doing enough of a good job to show how agile Peter is. I'll give you that. I saw a lot of reused dodge mechanics, a lot of reused punching mechanics with Peter in the gameplay trailer, and I think he's faster than that. We just know that Spider-Man has traditionally moved faster than that. But other than that, I'm like, everything else looks fine to me.
Because y'all would have took Kraven as a scrawny man.
No,
would have been okay with that.
Kraven was
why not?
Because Kraven is not, again, bouncing off walls, swinging through the city at breakneck speed,
bounce off walls.
and do no. Joy.
Dog was running on walls,
grabbing
Spider-Man in the 90s.
No. If I'm supposed to believe that this person has a spider sense and is able to dodge bullets in midair, he needs to have a build that is agile enough to make that look convincing. If he's built,
he don't need to be built like the Rock Kid.
No, bro. If he's built like any of the X-Men of your choosing, he's too bulky. Spider-Man has traditionally been leaner and faster than every other Marvel character there is. Hey. Wolverine looks bigger than him if you put them side by side. He's not taller.
That's fine. Wolverine's a stocky guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not a Wolverine build. He's not a Cyclops build. He's not built width-wise. He's a scrawny kid who got powers, who obviously has built muscle over the years, but he's not a bodybuilder.
Okay. So Tobey Maguire's build is, would you say, similar to how you guys see the Insomniac version of Spider-Man, or no?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I did feel Andrew Garfield's one was very, very skinny.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Toby, like after he got his powers, was just, the right size build for a guy that age and stuff like that. And that's what
because
am I tripping? Never worked out before prior to.
So this. Is Web of Shadows? If I say I wanted a more Web of Shadows, is it the same thing to you guys, or am I tripping?
I think if you're looking at Web of Shadows with nostalgia glasses. Because if you go back and look at that gameplay and look at how Peter is rendered, he is rendered as a slender, agile superhero.
Okay.
I'll send you the clips after the show. He's not stocky in that game.
I want 90s Spider-Man. That's all it is.
I see
90s Spider-Man, but
no.
yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want, kid. Yeah, man. That's the real Peter Parker to me, dog.
Okay.
The one with the light blue and the white collar. That's the real Peter Parker to me. And the jeans?
Bro, I kind of feel like you try to intertwine too many nostalgic worlds, bro. Yes, the show.
No, I don't think I do. I think that's okay. I mean, because I like Spectacular Spider-Man.
Okay. Hey, there's some building that.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
That's cool.
And I get it. The 90s Spider-Man till this day is a forever classic. But I do feel like there's nothing wrong with the build of this one in this game.
I agree. I think it's fine. I think
okay.
If there's any issues, it's more so, again, with some of the choices. Obviously, again, you're going to reuse animations. That's to be expected. But some of the animations that they're reusing, I'm like, why does he still dodge like somebody who, again, is not bouncing off buildings on the regular? The man
you guys feel like there's enough... What about it? You guys feel like there's enough impact in the combat, or the impact's fine to you guys?
That remains to be seen. So if we're going back to the original game, I would say no, right? When I felt like when I was punching people with Spider-Man, it didn't feel like there was enough oomph, which is what I liked about the symbiote gameplay of like, this is a little bit more like, oh, wow, I'm pretty sure that hurt. But I think there still needs to be something that translates into Peter's regular moveset as well. And I think for the one or two combos they showed that were kind of similar, I'm like, it's still the same, like, I feel like I'm punching a wall with Peter. You know, and it's like, I know he's holding back, but this is somebody who can love tap somebody, a grown man, and they collapse if he wants to. So I guess that's just, our general thoughts on that. Before we close up for the night, We did announce that we were going to do a gaming and anime. We didn't really get to the anime, but I only had one segment for this episode, and that was One Piece. And I mean, I guess One Piece kind of spills over into a lot of modern anime, but Tim, you said you've seen the clips. Dory, I've sent you some of the clips. I've watched the most recent episodes, and One Piece Wano Arc is setting a new bar with I might have watched that Zoro episode 3 times. I've never seen a TV episode, 20 minutes of animation that airs on a Saturday night look that way, look that good, where they're doing frame breakdowns the day after.
To body another brother. Zoro is 10-0 at this point. Tim, if Zoro sees us on any other day, we done.
Tim, they call Zoro the minority hunter on Twitter.
we done, bro. We done, bro. It's over, kid. We finished. Dog. Bro. Fam, we done. Usopp is alive by grace alone. By grace. Because in Zoro's mind,
he's like, that's my, I have black friends.
No. Usopp is Jewish, kid. In his mind, Usopp is Jewish, dog.
Oh my goodness. But the question I wanted to ask y'all, right, is as longtime watchers of anime, all of us, do you feel like with the Wano arc with One Piece, with the consistent top tier level of quality that we see in Demon Slayer, with the no sleep backbreaking work hours that I'm sure Mappa was going through to give us Chainsaw Man and Attack on Titan back to back, do you feel like there's a new bare minimum when it comes to anime quality standards these days?
I believe, I definitely believe so. In terms of animation, but then also in terms of storytelling. Like, how is this all wrapping together that I should really give a So, like, it was beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. And what I really liked about that, especially with Zoro, like, this is something that One Piece has highlighted for so long, is that the captain and the first mate are very, very close in terms of power.
Mm-hmm.
Old Roger and Relaya. I would say Shanks and Ben Beckman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember Ben had one of the admirals at gunpoint. He was like, because he just knew. He knew that if I even flinch, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of like Luffy and Zoro, I'm just so glad at the fact that they're showing this level of development between the both of them. Like there was a clip that's saying like, they're like brothers for life. Like, when one of them falls asleep just to regain some of their stamina back, the other one is fully capable of just taking on any villain before them.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just so glad to really see that. Like, bro, like even though, like, especially when he cut Kaido. He did cut Kaido. Kaido was like, oh, there's another one of them.
And he did and out of the first mates, right? Because that kids would be what's his name, buddy with the wind blades.
Yeah, I know.
Killer, right? It's like Killer ain't do what Zoro did when they came to fighting Kaido. You know what I'm saying? Like, to your point, it's like Luffy and Zoro. That gap ain't as big as we would like to think.
Is that the same Killer that's on Kid's crew?
Yes.
The one with the mask on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he never used to talk.
I mean, he's been talking all arc. He even had the whole
because he was at
when he was a samurai thing.
Was it when he was at what's that episode? What's that place that was called? Where Kid first got introduced.
I'm blanking right now. The
Admiral Kizu was
Sabody. The Archipelago, yeah. Saboti or something like that. It's with an S.
Yeah. Because when Kid was introduced, when his crew was introduced, it was pretty bad, man. I love that episode, man. That arc. Flames. Yeah. I think there's definitely a new level right now. But I think we always got hints of that, man. The arc with in Naruto when Rock Lee, you know what I'm saying? We got hints of that with when Neji was fighting the spider dude, and it went to the negative inverse color scheme, and he was moving the spiders. And when it went to Killer Bee, I think we always had, that level of fight scenes in us. It was just at peaks, because you knew when Naruto was gonna have a crazy fight scene. Jiraiya, I was watching it the other day, The Man Who Became God. That's one of my favorite seasons of Naruto, where Jiraiya had to go to Pain's the Rain Village. That whole exchange of dialogue and the frog coming out of nowhere, and I didn't even know Jiraiya could do that.
Right,
he had I mean, when he was fighting the dogs, and the dogs would fuse together and separate, that was movie quality fight scenes, man. We had hints of it, but now it's just continuously consistent. But you have anime. Yeah,
I was gonna ask you guys.
Animes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you had animes that did that, but those were the animes that had their seasons. Because Cowboy Bebop had consistently good fight scenes.
True.
But it was an episodic. They had a season, and Space Dandy, another one of my favorite animes.
Space Dandy has a great animation.
Space Dandy had consistent animation, but that's only because, and Killer, as much as some people don't like, it's too cartoony for anime, but
fire.
The fire fight scenes, man. Fire animations, you know what I'm saying? It had a consistency. Classic JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The 90s version, the 90s old version. That animation is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? There was a consistency because those animes gave the director, the anime team, time and breaks. You know what I'm saying? The fight where Hiei fought the dude with the armor that was so heavy, and he did the Dragon of Darkness Flame. Bro. That fight scene was bonkers. Toguro versus Yusuke. They had that when it came to the big stake fights.
So another level. But I was gonna ask, do you guys feel like because the level has continued to elevate, right? Where it's like, I even think back to Demon Slayer of last season, right, with the Sound Ninja Tengen. And they're having that last all holes, like no holds barred, and it's just it's the choreography is like on another. Like, do you guys feel like there's room now for anime movies, right? Because anime movies used to be that time where you get like that top tier of like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, even as recent as the Broly movie, it's like the Broly movie was, you didn't see that in up until maybe, let's just say, Goku vs. Jiren. Broly movie was, I mean, it went first person, it went. It's just, there was just so much happening. It's like
it's One Punch Man's fault.
But
it's
in a good way.
One Punch Man season 1's fault.
But in a good way. But do you feel like that takes away? Like, are you gonna say, for example, they announce another Dragon Ball movie? Is that gonna be something that you're like, I gotta go see the cinema anime aspect? When you're watching Zoro versus King, and King is doing Dragon Fire in 3D, you're just like, ew.
Yeah, but it's One Punch Man's fault. It's One Punch Man season 1's fault. Because that season is crazy. But I don't know, man, because for me, it's going to have to be, the story's got to be amazing, dog. Because now it's like, I can't tell the difference. Because Demon Slayer, but that studio, if you watch any of the Fate Stay Night movies, and it's for whatever reason, I can't get into the Fate Stay Night series, but they got some crazy fights when you watch it in clips. The fights, there was this dude, he has a red spear, and he was chasing some demon on a highway, and they wind up fighting. The demon wind up slashing cars, and like the car started tumbling, and he was sliding on the highway because he already built up enough speed to just follow him sliding on the highway. And he was cutting the cars in half with his spear, and they started fighting on the trailer bed of the truck. And they was going, I'm talking about, the camera was following the tip of his spear to him actually fulfilling the actual motion he would have if we were watching it in a 2D 2D viewpoint. I'm like, yo, that studio is already consistent doing that. So now they get Demon Slayer. They could do whatever they want. The thing is, the reason why those things are so epic is because back to what Tim was saying, they make us care about the final fights. That's because there's a lot of animes where we see the action is cool, but we're not invested.
True.
We forget about it immediately.
That's actually an issue I have with My Hero. My Hero, the anime as as
it's no way to
been, you're just like,
There's no way to it.
Yeah.
No way to it. No way to it whatsoever. Like, I could tell you guys, I could be basically, I say, you guys, take your favorite Justice League episode and compare it to an anime episode, and you'd be like, oh man, you know what? To be honest with you, this episode was actually better. Because why? It had more weight to it. Mm-hmm. Story-wise. I think, I don't know what movies, I don't know what they're going to have to do. Like, it's getting to the point they're going to have to integrate Final Fantasy graphics, Advent Children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're absolutely, because like, I thought about something that Tim had said to me a while back when you look at the Boruto fight, right? Where they fight Momoshiki for the first time. And for as good, I think, the Boruto movie was actually pretty good, all things considered. It's like the anime did that fight better. Like, the things that they had Naruto and Sasuke doing in that episode in the anime, bro.
They showed levels of ninjutsu. Like, they showed, like, old school Lion Barrage, Uzumaki combos.
Shadow, the art of the Shadow, Shuriken, everything.
Yes, like,
amazing.
They showed, like, hints of, like, the Zabuza fight, the Chunin exams, to even like the later stuff of like Shippuden, where like even like when Sasuke, when he did the split second like swap, but then you thought that was him, but then it was actually a shadow clone, and of course they ended with the usual Susanoo,
over the top activate Megazord.
But it was like you saw all eras in that one fight.
I think that part was I lost my mind when I saw the Nine Tails come out and then the Sasuno turn to armor.
Mm-hmm.
My dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, man, only Ichigo can defeat this. You feel me? Okay, bro. Hey, as much as I don't like Bleach Kid, Ichigo is a problem.
So my last question before we wrap it up, just in general, to cap off the anime thing, do you guys believe that the animation can sometimes save the lackluster reception to new forms, right? So we know that Gear 5 is on its way, and we have all talked about Gear 5 off mic, Looney Tune powers of Luffy at that point. Is there a way in which you feel like animation wise they could get you onto the Gear 5 bandwagon?
Yes.
Yeah. Yo, listen, fam. Did you see what Kizaru did when he got on the island?
Yeah.
No, listen. I was not watching One Piece at that point. But when, my homie told me, he said, Joe, no, you have to watch One Piece. I said, why? No, you have to watch One Piece. I said, no, this is trash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kid,
and he shows
Scratchman Apple started running on the building. Kizaru was like, oh, and then he did the Seth from Street Fighter and beamed himself at the tip. I was like, nah. Then they showed me an AMV.
He rode in
Lucci
on a cannonball and asked a man, "Have you ever been kicked at the speed of light?"
Yo, dog. Okay, even Garp scared me. Garp picked up the cannon, the anchor, and he threw it at a ship. And I was like, nah, dog, this foul. Nah, I'm straight, man.
But to your point, though, it was Luffy versus Lucci that got me to One Piece. That fight was different.
When he started going in with Rob Lucci was raw, because I was like, yo, this design is stupid. Then he did the thing.
Yeah.
And I said, yo, what's happening here? But I ain't gonna lie, man. For me, this is what really sold me. I'm watching Sanji fight off screen, like I'm like passing by, and I'm I'm watching my homie, watch the AMV. I'm like, he locked in. Then I see Sanji lift up his leg, kid. I said, yo, what's going on? Then the foot caught on fire. I said, yo, nah, kid. Hold up. What's going on? Then he kicked the dog. When I say my rib was hurting for 3 weeks because I saw how hard he kicked, the dog was dead. The foot yoking, or Sanji gave homie the foot yoking, kid. I was like, nah. I say, yo, this is One Piece, kid. But To be fair, One Piece did have One Piece. I wasn't watching it. I wasn't watching it faithfully, because I felt like my favorite art. Because I was watching it sparingly, like I just watched it because it was on. I stayed home Sunday, and I just caught it right. But I did get locked in when I felt like that was one of the craziest storylines. When they went to go meet Sanji for the first time. So Luffy gets on this boat. They're hungry. They finish coming from wherever they beating Arlong or whatever.
No,
they get that was before. That was before
yeah.
Arlong. My bad. My bad. They finished. I forgot what they was doing. Was it Klahadore or Buggy? They finished beating Buggy.
This was. I want to say this was when they had their initial run-in with Crocodile's crew.
Okay.
No, when they met Sanji.
So right before they met Sanji, wasn't it the one with Mr. 3, the wax guy and the girl with the paint? Wasn't that pre-Sanji?
That was after Sanji. Bro.
Really?
Yeah, like because it was after Captain Kuro.
Right.
Because remember Usopp was before Sanji.
You're right.
And
Captain Kuro.
Yeah.
That's homie, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Captain Kuro.
With the cat claws.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Okay, so with him, right? After that, so they go to eat. Then you find out this pirate crew is not who they think they are. They ask for food, and you're wondering why their ship is damaged or whatever. You're like, yo, where are these dudes coming from? Why after that they try to hijack the ship. You find out that they hijacked the ship so they can escape from who was following it.
Mihawk, yeah.
I lost, and then I'm like, yo. So I'm like, because I'm young, though. I'm not understanding these concepts and depths in storytelling, right? So I'm watching it. I say, wait, yo, these boys, oh man, these guys are trash, man. They're trying to hijack the ship, right? But then you find out, no, they trying to hijack the ship because they trying to live. Them dudes was fighting for their life, dog. What's the dude with the pig? Yo, Buddy was trying to survive, kid. Dog pull out the cape. Luffy punched it. Spikes. Yo, then, dog, he put the gun to homie head. Listen, give me the shit. Yo, dog was trying to survive, kid. Then all you see, and then when I saw homie eyes turn white, I said, yo, who is this guy, kid?
But he pulled up in a dinghy with some
him
candles.
And Craven look exactly alike, kid.
Yeah.
So Pirate Craven came in on the boat, right? And then that's when I was like, okay, this anime different, dog.
Yeah.
Then, Zoro turned into Zoro that day. Zoro became a man that day. Yeah. Man.
Okay, I think that's a good point.
That was a crazy storyline.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember if there's any transformation that I was not crazy about that animation won me over. I know there's been fighting techniques, right? Like I wasn't super crazy about how the manga showed Killer Bee fighting with his 8 blades until I saw the animated version of it. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like I was like, how does this man fight with this? Like he just had an awkward stance. And you watch the anime, he's tossing them up. I'm like, bro, and they're showing how Sasuke just literally can't
keep up with the Sharingan activated, dog. Yo, listen to me, man. That episode was like, I didn't know that was gonna. That's what I like about Naruto. I could never predict what fights were gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, how they're gonna like depict them. You're right.
I didn't know that the fight with Naruto. I didn't know that I needed a Sasuke versus the Doria. Or Deidara.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Bro, they can't cross paths. Automatic beef. Then I'm seeing Sasuke use the electricity to taser the mines to neutralize the plastic. And that, I'm like, nah, dog. That fight was just a scrap house. Then you get to the fight where I didn't think I was going to get that fight out of Shikamaru and Kakashi teaming up.
Oh,
dog.
Against Hidan, yeah. Kakuzu,
family.
Yeah.
Nah, I wasn't expecting that. That thing just took
one.
That was one thing I love about Shippuden. I never knew where the fights were gonna go. I didn't know this. No, you're actually gonna get a season finale fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah. So back to that, man. Like, those, like, man, that's so much good stuff, dog. So much good stuff. Man.
Okay, so given the snail pace of One Piece, we'll see Gear 5 sometime before the end of summer if we're lucky. Because
I don't know, man. I'm not looking forward to it, dog.
I am.
Cause it's like man, I'm just gonna watch these boys interpret Bugs Bunny, kid.
Yeah, but again,
because
I make a habit, like I don't buy every single piece of manga, right? But I try to buy manga from fights that really sat with me, right? So I think they just released the one where it's Sanji fighting Queen, Zoro fighting King. And I'm reading, and it's still good. It's like I bought it for a reason. But I'm like, the way they were able to take this and make it that, I'm like, they might make a Gear 5 believer out of me. I don't know. 'Cause I'm like, in my mind, I don't, you don't picture as you're reading through the pages of Sanji kicking Queen so hard his tattoos wins. Somebody broke that down on Twitter. It's like the tattoo on his arm, and Sanji kicks him, the tattoo actually winces. Because he got kicked so hard. The tattoo reacted. Or like seeing Zoro cut with so much impact that the ground levitates. You know what I'm saying? Like don't think something like I wonder like with Garrett 5, I'm sure they're gonna do something that's gonna make him, make Bugs Bunny like we've never seen him before.
I don't know, man. And then my thing is like, how do you top that? Like unless he's fighting Kenpachi. Who's gonna beat Gear 5 Luffy?
Yeah. Remains to be seen.
If it's not Ichigo, dog, then is because even Bleach was crazy to me.
Yeah, Bleach.
Bleach
we'll say that for another time. I think
I was terrified of the old man.
I think in passing, I'm not as crazy as the return to Bleach as some other people.
I know you are. I know because we talk about all the time.
Yeah, we do. So we'll bring that up on I want to at least wrap us up and then give us another anime to talk about next time. But I'm like everyone's like the 1,000-year Blood War arc, and then I'm like
yeah.
Oh, be careful what you wish for.
Too bad Disney didn't support the Eisen arc, man. We would have been all taken.
All right,
that's the greatest mistake ever written.
It wasn't
in anime history.
Eisen.
He did not plan. Eisen, I don't know, kid.
We'll save it. We'll save it for our next discussion. Yeah. We'll save it for our next discussion.
All right,
fellas. It has been a 3-hour recording. We doubled the podcast length somehow while also cutting down on our tangents. So that's something. I appreciate y'all as always making time. Appreciate you guys listeners for tuning in and watching. So yeah, it's gonna sign us out. Once again, this is Antonius, DaGamer. Thank you guys so much for checking for us. Tim, if you want to give your goodbyes to the people.
Thanks for having me again, Anthony. Looking forward to the next episode.
Yep.
Oh, goodbye, man. Goodbye.